What up, y'all? This episode we had Jessi Roesch. Hope I said that right. She's actually a big advocate in the farming community. She just gotten back from White Oak Pasture with Will Harris, which is super cool. If you've seen him on Joe Rogan, he's been on a few times. Was one of the leading farmers to switch his farm over from more conventional farming to a more regenerative farm style, and so it's just overall better for the environment, overall better for the animals, and just better for the ecosystem. So she's a huge advocate with that. She actually just recently founded her own company called Go Downland. We do actually a kind of an awful job talking about it in the podcast, but we do talk about why the whys behind her starting that company, why it's so important to her, and also the food system. So I hope y'all enjoy it. It's a great episode. And as always, we have shirts. Shirts are for sale, so DM me to lock in your size. Get your shirt now. Yeah, enjoy the episode. Thanks, guys.
So I'll sit around and make these crazy faces as I'm like throwing my head around, and I've unlocked. Part of the reason I started exploring that was after I was in a bad car accident. A friend adjusted me and was explaining a little bit how like your neck and all that musculature is connected to your ears. And I've noticed my hearing hasn't been as good as it had been in the past. And I just can kind of feel like I clench my jaw. I kind of pay attention to all this musculature. And I was like, maybe I can just like unthunk it. And I did like a couple weeks ago. I like really opened my ears up. I opened my sinuses up. Like I'm just building that brain body connection in a way that I can actually like, self manipulate a little bit. It's wild.
It's a real thing. I partake in marijuana, and I will smoke, and I will sit on the couch, or I'll sit on the foam roller, and I will sit there and do the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I will go weeks trying to get something, and I'll finally, I was working on my low back, and I have disc degeneration disease in my L5 and S1, and my low back is always killing me. And there's always been this just one little spot, and I knew if I could pop it, it would make the biggest difference. And finally, one night I'm laying in bed and I had just this weird leg configuration and just went, and the exact spot popped. And I was just like, oh. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is fascinating once you start to pay attention to those things, how much you can make a difference on your own. Mm-hmm. Right. And so like going to a professional really helps start opening like your thought or your eyes to it, so to speak, in the sense of like, okay, I know I can do this because you do this. And then you go home, you just start kind of fidgeting around and doing things, and you're like, this feels good. Mm-hmm. Another thing on that too is the jaw. Mm-hmm. TMI. Is it TJI? TMI?
TMJ?
TMJ?
TMJ, yeah.
TMJ? Dude, that sucks. I got hit in the jaw and it was just slightly loose. It was from probably like a left hook, or this would be right hook. And it was just kind of just bothering me for a while. And I don't know where I'm going with that. Actually, it has nothing to do with anything.
That's a bit. We've been a California sober household since 2019.
Yeah,
and that's like, I'm like, yeah, smoke weed and foam roll is like an evening well spent.
It's great.
Yes.
It's great. You just sit there on the foam roller, just happy as can be. Mm-hmm. Foam roller's best friend, the Soaz, also a good friend of mine. Dude, my fucking hips, just playing jiu-jitsu, your hips your hip flexors are constantly under fire.
I love playing jiu-jitsu as a visual.
It is a game, right? It's a chess game with dire consequences. But it's a chess match. The entire thing is a chess match. It's really commonly known as like playing jiu-jitsu. The reason being is when you train MMA, you're not playing. We're trying to really hurt each other. In jiu-jitsu, yes, you're practicing the art of breaking limbs, but the person just taps and then you reset and everybody's fine. And it's very rare that you necessarily get hurt obviously if you're rolling really, really hard, you're getting ready for a competition, something might get tweaked in a certain position, but it's very rare that it's from the actual like submission being applied, unless, that person just absolutely rips it. And that's usually not how you play jiu-jitsu. It's like, they call it like the gentle art. It's not necessarily gentle on the body, but it's gentle in the sense of usually you can roll every single day and you can just do that for years. You can just roll all the time. Mm-hmm. And so it is more of a game versus like MMA. It's not a game. Like getting punched and getting kicked in the face or getting elbowed in the face is completely different than someone trying to break your arm. Mm-hmm. It's interesting though, because when you're getting choked out in jiu-jitsu,
a relatable experience, by the way.
I'm very reluctant to tap to chokes because I see that as you killing me. And I'm like, no, this is death. Joint locks, I'm like, oh yeah, cool, I'll tap. No problem. Like, don't snap that, please. Mm-hmm. But chokes, I'm like, I'm going to push this. I've been put out twice because of it. Because I'm like, I'm going to push this and see how far I can go before I have to absolutely tap. Because if something was to happen and you were to get into a situation where someone did take your back and they had a rear naked choke set in, that is them killing you. You're dead. Because if they don't let go once you go to sleep, then you are now dead. Mm-hmm. And so there is something about in jiu-jitsu when someone has a choke in where you're just like, no, fuck that, I'm not tapping. At least for me. But
when anyways. I think that language of like play, the opposite of that is almost fear, or it manifests in this fear of being scared of the thing that you're going to fall off or trip over, that's going to come out of the woods and bite you or be poisonous and, make you itch. Like all the actual sacrifices, consequences are not that dire for the most part. Like we should exercise caution, like especially like young people or beginners in any kind of endeavor. But more often than not, we're way overwhelmed by fear that keeps us from actually doing or trying anything.
Oh yeah.
And you have lost this joy of play and just gotten trapped in this other thing that is just suffocating.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you say that because that's been, we've probably talked about this in maybe all 10 episodes since we've gotten back. Fear is, if you let fear run you, it is probably the most paralyzing emotion that you can experience, because it will keep you from doing anything and everything. Mm-hmm. Fear, I struggle with fear a little bit, but I think I struggle with indecisiveness way more. Not think, I know. My downfall is indecisiveness. I'm very much, I struggle with making decisions. And I've noticed that the more you just do and decide later, usually the better off everything is. Mm-hmm. But it is so hard sometimes just to be like, no, this is what we're doing. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying, that is probably like a big goal of mine, is to be better at that. And so two of the ways that I do that is jiu-jitsu and chess. I see a correlation between those in life. And so I play a lot of chess and I play a lot of jiu-jitsu in order to try to force myself to be making these decisions in a quick fashion, right? I compete in jiu-jitsu. Competition, when you go into competition, everything's happening so fast. And so you're having to make decisions very quickly. And that's the fun that I have, or the challenge to myself when I compete. It's always me versus me. Mm-hmm. And that challenge is to be able to make decisions very quickly. And I try to then apply that to my life, because you realize that most of the time it usually works out. Mm-hmm. Or pretty much every time it works out, right? Yeah. And so that's something that I've been working on and using chess and jiu-jitsu that way. But nonetheless, Jessi, what the fuck's up? How are you?
I'm so good, Brodey.
Good.
I'm playing and doing all the things I should be doing. It's interesting as we talk about this, like, decisiveness or following your intuition, I've learned a lot more about how that feels just for me. And, you know, it feels a little different to know if you're doing the right thing or following your intuition. For everybody, is it like, you know, that kind of aha moment? Is it a slow burn? You know, do you try a lot of stuff and see what hits you back and is like, yes, that's the thing? And I'm like doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing right now. And it's really fucking hard. And that's fine because I'm supposed to be doing it.
Fuck yeah. Well, first off, one thing, before we jump in, you posted something yesterday that was very interesting to me from White Oaks Pasture. Yeah. Mm-hmm. White Oaks Pasture.
White Oak Pastures in Bluffton, Georgia, of Will Harris and family.
Huge fan. His episodes, I think he's been on Joe Rogan twice now.
Yes.
His 2 episodes are up there and probably some of my most fascinating episodes. You learn so much. I always, when I think of some of my favorite Joe Rogan episodes, I think of The Beekeeper here in Austin. It's one of the first ones that always comes to mind because I like the ones that completely blow my mind, right? Like the political ones, they're becoming less mind blowing because it's just like, okay,
I'm on my press junket.
It's like I get it now. Like I understand how the system works. So a lot of it's not very shocking. You're just more like, fuck, dude, again. Versus the beekeeping one, anytime Paul Stamets is on talking about mycelium, and then Will Harris. Oh, and the Alaskan Boneyard. Those are ones where I'm just like, dude, this is, it's almost unfathomable just how cool it is. And I'm a big fan of Will Harris and what he's done down there and his whole transformation going from a very standard farm to a regenerative farm, how the water changed, how his land changed, the crops, the animals, the cattle. It's just a fascinating story.
Yes. And I spent 7 days or so at White Oak Pastures this spring and got to get an inside look at the farm, the operation, spend a lot of time with Mr. Harris, or Mr. Will, as he's called when you're on farm. Very Southern sort of culture, you know. Hey, you know, Miss So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, like very sort of a moment of idyllicness in a very real operation that has all the blood, sweat, and tears that a real farm has. Mm-hmm. And the thing about White Oak Pastures is one of these like OG regenerative operations. And if you hear Will talk, or if you read his book and really talk to any regenerative producer, the thing that's so interesting that you have to flip your mind around on is nature is giving you all these signals of what it needs. And you can take in those signals and respond to them, or you can impose a desire of your own and kind of strong arm yourself through a problem. And I think farmers and a lot of people who just have are gritty and have a tough work ethic, they're like, yeah, I can make that thing happen. And that's a lot of my experience in my career. I've worked so hard and have experience and resilience to be like, I can make that thing happen. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. And regenerative farming, and the more I learn about nature in general, and us as a piece of nature, people as a part of this planet, I learn that we try really hard to impose something, but actually the easy answer, that intuition, whatever you want to, that design, whatever words you want to use to describe it, like the more that you see the signals that are out there and like take them in and let that guide your problem solving rather than imposing the answer, is how you actually get to like that easy path, that easy button, that feeling of like living in sync. And that's what Will talks about in his book, is like, I started looking around and these birds that used to be there weren't there. These other animals that were on my property, butterflies and different kinds of plants, they weren't there because we had chemical bazookaed them to hell.
Yeah. Explain to people who are listening who maybe don't understand or know, or maybe they haven't heard of regenerative farming, what exactly that is.
Yeah. And the question in and of itself is a fun one to ask in regenerative circles, because the regenerative terminology sometimes gets used as a renewal of systems in general, whether that's business systems or food systems, or of nature itself. I tend to talk about it in more of a pure agricultural sense of regenerative agriculture, which has gone by many other names in the past, is a style of agriculture that prioritizes the health of the soil. And if you remember the food chain, the nutrients in the soil get into the plants, get into the animals that eat those plants, or us as we eat those plants, and get into us as we eat those animals as well. And so that's the food chain. And the soil is a forgotten part of that chain. That's why our food is so much less nutrient dense than it was just 50 years ago. I've been in the fitness space for 8-10 years on the side as a coach. And just in the last 2 or 3 years, I've started to hear this language within the supplement space around you need to supplement with, our pill or our powder, whatever we're selling, because the soils are depleted. Like, it's a new talking point in the fitness space to talk about how our soils are depleted, and as a reason to sell you something, but there's some truth to it. And so regenerative agriculture is very context specific. So depending on what you're raising is going to dictate what you might do or what might work. Something you might do in Arizona, West Texas is really different than something a regenerative farmer might do in Ohio or Indiana, but you can still both be regenerative. And you're generally prioritizing things that help keep living roots in the ground, that take that context into account, are keeping the soil covered, often with some type of cover crop, integrating animals, and welcoming biodiverse crops and biodiverse species. And that can be both the species that you raise or just species that start to show up in this, what's called a trophic cascade, as you rebuild your biology. So that's the farming for soil is the short answer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I guess from my understanding, it's like, everything is it being reused? I don't know if that's the right word, but it's a constant cycle of everything. I guess everything on the property has a good purpose, and it's being used over and over again. Like, the cycle just continues, and that's how that they're running that farm. Is that kind of the dumbed down version of it? It's kind of my understanding of it, I guess. It's just like, I know what it means from like the term itself, but I guess I don't know necessarily like the interworkings and the I guess he was one of the first people to kind of switch over to this regenerative farming method.
I'm gonna in my like cocktail hour circles or happy hour circles, I'm the person who knows a lot of what I don't know in this space, and am gonna absolutely not give credit to people who deserve credit for some of the OG regenerative agriculture movements. But Will Harris is certainly near the top of that list of people who've been doing it in this country for a long time. Alan Williams and Gabe Brown are also folks who are at the top of that list. And it's very much, it's interesting you say it that way, because regenerative agriculture is much more about principles that you would follow or signals you might respond to in nature than it is a set of practices that you have to do in a certain order. And that's what really turns commodity agriculture on its head. That's like, I have sent you chemicals and you will use chemicals until the weeds die, or you will use chemicals until the pests die. That's oversimplification for sure, but it's, am I imposing a solution or listening to what nature has told me? Another OG regenerative rancher. It's a gentleman named Alejandro Carrillo who ranches in Mexico. He gets 7-10 inches of rain in a good year, about 30,000 acres on his ranch, I believe. And I was on a car ride with him to a conference event, and he stopped the car and looked out the window, and just on the horizon of the landscape, just saw these plant species and was like, oh, something's wrong on this landscape. And he can tell just by the plants that are there because he's seeing what nature is telling him and giving that back. And I've been on this little journey of just doing that in my backyard, applying soil health principles and seeing how my yard changes. And, someone like Alejandro brings the experience to be like, oh, this tree is here because of some other deficiency. So for example, a certain weed might show up because your soil doesn't have enough nitrogen in it. And that weed, even though it's technically a weed, is trying to get nitrogen in your soil. And so all those things sort of it's like all those signals are something for you to respond to rather than impose a solution on top of.
What differences have you noticed in your backyard?
Oh, that's
just through your own experience.
Yes, that's a really fun example. So we live in a rental property. We moved in about 5-6 years ago. We had sod just put out back. It was the wrong species for Central Texas, and it died a terrible death. There's this pattern you'll see when you're going from bare ground to a restored landscape of bare ground. Weeds and woody plants will kind of emerge first, and you're like, I want to pull those. They're weeds. Don't. They're still covering the soil. They're still keeping a living root in the soil. They're feeding the soil microbiome and ecosystem, all the things that feed us and give us nutrients. And so I had that. I had these woody, low-lying, brushy things that my Midwest self was like, I cannot not have grass, but I really want lush green grass because I'm from the Midwest and we have green lawns there. And so you have to first just resist the temptation to assert your own will over nature. It has a process. And so that first season we had a lot of woody plants and bare ground. And the next year we started seeing, you'll see annuals and the perennials come up after that. So that's kind of how you'll sequence over, and not over a series of seasons, just in your own backyard from bare ground up. And so now I have several varieties of perennial grass. This year was my first year to have perennial ryegrass in my yard, which is going to regrow next year. We let it grow up till it seeds. So it seeds itself. We don't have to pay for seed. And that has just helped cover the ground. And then around that, we've seen these species come back in. Way more birds than we had. We didn't have lightning bugs the first 3 years we were there. We have lightning bugs now. Probably the second or third year, we started having grasshoppers. And then we had bigger grasshoppers the next year. And then we've started to invite larger pests, animals, which we don't mind. We live near a green belt, and we're building a habitat.
Like lizards.
Yeah, lizards. We have a skunk that comes and hangs out this year. And so with possums more last year. And that's what that trophic cascade is you create an ecosystem, a habitat that welcomes or creates a ecosystem for smaller pieces of life, and that attracts those bigger pieces over time. A lot of regenerative farmers, especially on large scale land, they'll talk about beavers being gone and then beavers coming back into that ecosystem. And then they build dams and you suddenly have more water kept on your property because just an animal that builds dams by its very nature just showed back up because you created a habitat for it. And now you suddenly have this creature that's helping you keep water on your property.
Yeah. It's fascinating. One thing about plants that just always blows my mind, and we've talked about it a few times, I apologize, but the fact that they can change the way that they taste, like to an animal, whether they want to promote more pollination or if they want to be more left alone, how they talk to each other through the roots. Like I always picture Lord of the Rings and the trees in there. And I feel like there's a little bit of truth in that, in the sense of they talk to each other through their roots.
They do.
And just the fact that they can change the color of the leaves to attract a specific type of insect or a type of bird. They can change the way that they taste. They can pollinate more or all of it. But it's something that's always fascinating.
Yes.
It's freaking cool.
I learned over the summer that fungi communicate with about 50 words.
Yeah, dude, fungi is a whole nother rabbit hole. Have you listened to Paul Stamets at all? Or okay, so Paul Stamets is a mycelium guy. He's come on he's been on Joe Rogan probably at this point probably 10 times. He's one of the OG guests. He's been coming on right around the time like Graham Hancock and them started coming on, right when he started getting people outside of his friend groups to start coming on the podcast. And he talks about how they just recently found a mushroom species that will make you immune to bird flu. They found ones that will like significantly help with COVID. He has like a lot of different mushroom supplements that he sells. That he collects all the mushrooms himself, and then he goes through that whole process. I take lion's mane personally, cordyceps from time to time as well, but mainly lion's mane is something that I take every day, and I thoroughly enjoy it. I can tell when I haven't taken it because I haven't taken it today, and I can definitely feel myself A, stumbling over my words, and B, having like 1,000,002 thoughts at the same time. Lion's mane is a very good natural remedy for ADHD. It is also has the ability to do nerve regenerate. I fuck this up every time.
I think you're correct on this one.
Nerve regenerative something.
I feel like there's a nosis. There's like a cis at the end of this term also.
Maybe.
But I could be wrong.
We're about to find out. Young Taylor. That was anticlimactic. Oh wait, no, we're up.
Neuroregenerative.
It's NVT, NGF. There it is. Go back. Up. Right there, nerve growth factor. So when you take 3,000 milligrams of lion's mane with 500, I want to say it's 500 milligrams of niacin. If you take those two together,
that sounds intense. Sounds like you're gonna have an intense day.
It is intense. I'm not gonna lie. I don't do this every day. I do the lion's mane every day, but I do not do the niacin every day because it does fuck you up for about 30 minutes. It's a trip. But I did do it for probably like 90 days, and I did notice a big difference in like tingliness, numbness, things like that, nerve issues. I struggle with different nerve issues, mostly in my hands and my arms because my neck is fucked. And it helps. But the lion's mane, the biggest thing that I've noticed genuinely is its ability to help with like ADHD, brain fog, cognitive ability is kind of what we were talking about with creatine earlier. It does help. I do think that there is, I do think supplementation is very important. I get not angry, but I'm tired of the if you just eat a balanced diet, you'll get all your nutrients. Yeah. It's just not a real thing for two reasons. One reason, because like you mentioned, the soil, our food is just not very nutritious on its own. And then the second part of it is if you're very active or if you don't go out on the sun, if you don't get a lot of sun or something like that, supplements are a lifesaver. Vitamin D itself, if you just start taking vitamin D with K2, your body, your mood will change. It helps with back pain. It helps with so much simply by just taking vitamin D And then with his transport agent, K2.
And that's all such an example of like things that you've experimented with on your own and like read and learned about and tried and, you know, kind of had a toss up of like, that worked, that didn't. Yeah. I think like some recent research I was looking at was like sauna, for example, is like for women, it's kind of a toss up. Like if you like it, do it. If you don't, it's, you know, maybe not doing as much for you as a male athlete might experience. But I think that spirit of experimentation is very core to that regenerative movement of like seeing and trying things and like responding to what those signals are, and people doing that in their own health and wellness too. It's like, well, no one's coming to help you.
Dude, it's funny that you say that. I got into, not like an argument, but I got into a conversation. It was right around the Tylenol debacle. And I was posting how I go through periods where I'm vocal on Instagram about politics and I'm not. I go through periods where I'm like, all right, I'm tired of the bullshit. And then I go through periods where like, just leave me alone. I don't want to have a conversation with you, because most people are not even capable of even having a conversation in the first place. And I get overly annoyed when I present a fact and you tell me that that's not what you believe. What are we doing here? Mm-hmm. A fact is a fact. It doesn't matter if you believe it or not. The truth is the truth. But nonetheless, I was being vocal for like a week then, because I was like, this is something that has been talked about for a while. Whether it's causation, correlation, whether it's true, whether it's not true, the point was that it had been something that's been discussed for 10, 20 years. And everyone came out trying to say like, oh, it's been safe for forever, da 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 da. Even though Tylenol themselves tweeted in 2017 to not take Tylenol if you're pregnant. And then the big red orange man said something about it. And then of course everybody starts doing the opposite. Just like, it's unfortunate, because I think if it wasn't Trump who had talked about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine at the very beginning of COVID, I think that we would have had a much different experience during that time period. But there's this so much of A, just a hate, and then B, the Trump derangement syndrome is really a real fucking thing. You see, the fact that it came from him suddenly meant that those two drugs did nothing. Where there were anecdotal, very prominent doctors. Peter McCall, who is the most published doctor of all time, was like, no, I've been treating people with this. This is an effective treatment, but in order to pass a emergency vaccine, you have to prove that there is zero other alternatives. And then so that led to all that. But the point is, like, I was being vocal, and I was having a conversation with somebody, and I was telling them, like, you know, I was like, look, dude, I do what we're talking about. Like, I experiment with different things, like, see what works for me. I've tried different types of supplements. I see which ones benefit me and which ones don't. I notice creatine's a big one. If I don't take creatine, body doesn't look as good. I don't feel as good. Muscles they're not activating the right way. They're not as strong. Creatine is a must. That is an everyday supplement. Electrolytes, everyday supplement. Yep. There's just no way I could go through a day without taking electrolytes with how much I train. You have to, right? Other big ones, a multivitamin. Vitamin D, fish oils.
Yes.
Those are the big ones, and then lion's mane. Those are the big ones, and those are staples for me. And that's just through, 15 years of playing around with different supplement stacks, trying different things, listening to different sales pitches, listening to different people who've come on Joe Rogan, whether it's Dr. Rhonda Patrick, whether it's Andrew Huberman, whether it's Peter Attia, whether it's Andy Galpin, all these numerous amounts of people that he's had on. And he was like, well, not everybody has this luxury of doing fix and play with their health. And I was like, because he was saying, like, when you start to make public announcements, you can't use correlation, or you can't talk speculative. And everybody wants like this, like, concrete evidence. And I was talking to my buddy who was just on the podcast. He was a molecular biologist, and he was in a research PhD program in OU, and he was studying viruses and stem cells. And I was asking him, I was like, dude, if I waited for a peer review study for every single one of these things that I take or believe, I would be like 20 years behind. And he was like, absolutely. It just doesn't work that way.
Yes.
Right? Like, I understand these people who he used the guy that I'm talking about, like in my Instagram. He used the analogy of he works with rocket scientists, and if they didn't use the scientific method and they just went off speculation, they X, Y, and Z could happen. It's like, okay, I understand that. That does make sense. But that's, unfortunately, science does not work that quickly. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work like that. We're still using a food pyramid from the 70s that we know they were paid off for. Mm-hmm. They got paid 50 G's, and the food pyramid's still fucked to this day.
Mm-hmm. The food pyramid got redone in 2010.
Did it?
Well, it was the food pyramid from the 70s, which was lobbying hot garbage, was redone in the 90s. Another set of lobbying hot garbage. And then in 2010 was Michelle Obama's My Plate. So we technically don't have the food pyramid in general. You've picked a topic that I have a soapbox for.
I'm ready for it.
The food pyramid in general was never even really meant to be used for public description about what to eat and how to eat.
They teach it still to this day.
But it's meant for policymakers. It's been completely co-opted, and the plate, the 2010 Michelle Obama's My Plate is like technically still the current guidance, and it's not bad actually.
Yeah.
Like
can you pull that up for me?
For a really simplistic, there's this, to your point, my background is, my college degree is in journalism. And so I have taken a lot of classes on like research methods and how to conduct good qualitative and quantitative research. And so I have this sort of education around, this is how you do research. This is how you ask questions to get information. And the scientific method is definitely one of those ways. Sure. Good survey methods or other ways. And then like talking to people and trying your own stuff is another way. And, and she got eviscerated for this. Like, she got a lot of public hate for this. And it's, I hate that this is not where our food guidance should come from. We should be talking to farmers, and our doctors in our lives should have better understanding of nutrition. Like, the structure of the system is so problematic. And that's the thing that like gets me. I think about these like systems level problems in this structure of inches, feet, and miles. Miles is like people moving policy, people moving really large pockets of money, like large scale investors, export markets, tax incentives. Yeah. Like
Vanguard.
Yes. People are doing things at that level that can help or hurt society. There's a sort of feet in the middle. That's like kind of that connective tissue of how those things get applied in regional levels. So like metros and city governments, state governments, regional businesses and business hubs. But then there's that inches level of like, if I put my coach's hat on, I'm a coach. I'm standing right across from you. You're a mom in your like 40s or 50s who's hired a trainer because you're at the end of your rope and you don't know what else to do to get healthy. And I'm the person who has to help that person. I have to consolidate all this information and be like, okay, all of that signal is something. But like, you work a desk job and like you have kids and you have a commute. Like, what can we balance in your life that you're actually going to do and is going to make sense for you? And there's all the factors of like you individually. Like, do you have dietary restrictions? Do you have all those convenience restrictions of other responsibilities? And, I do hate the assumption that food can fix everything. Food cannot fix everything. We also live in a really toxic environment. That's its whole own separate thing. Genetics definitely plays a role in all of this, but the food is such a big first step for so many people, and it gets missed so often.
Yeah. I think it's a major step just from anecdotal stories, mostly from people who go paleo or go carnivore. I find those to be the most fascinating because it goes against everything we've been told for so long. And so I dabble. I go through phases where I'll go carnivore or I go very low carb with fruit. I usually, if I'm trying to get into peak shape, like if I'm really trying to cut weight, but I'm not trying to do a large water cut, I'm just trying to get more lean and more, I guess from a physique perspective, I'm going carnivore. I'm going to go eggs, meat, fruit, and yogurt. And if I just eat that, I'm shredded. I feel the best. The only I go back and forth on carbs all the time. The only reason why I feel like sometimes the only reason why I eat carbs is because I've been constantly told to eat carbs. And then I eat carbs and I immediately start gaining weight. I get bloated. I don't actually know if I really notice that big of a difference in my workouts. I will say doing like sugar or like a jelly or fruit, something like that before a workout, I think obviously has its benefits. And I think you do notice a difference in the outcome of your workout. But in the sense of like rice, breads, potatoes, things like that, I don't know that I actually feel a benefit. And so I go back and forth on it all the time. I'm like, is this just something that I've been constructed to believe? And so I eat carbs because I'm like, I train so much, so let me give myself the fuel. But then when I go carnivore, quote unquote, with berries, I feel so much better. And then, but I still find myself just back to the carbs because they're so fucking good. They're so good, man. Good old sourdough. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to completely cut it out because I just love sourdough. I love burgers. I love pizza. But we've been experimenting more with like sourdough pizza crusts and making more sourdough at the house.
Yes. I will take I'll take any off your plate.
Oh, I got a loaf in the freezer.
I had a friend who was going to make a loaf for me today and bailed on me, which, by the way, is fine. Like the bar I set was like, if you make a sourdough loaf, I'll give you money for it. But if you don't, or that's stressful, I know where to find sourdough.
You're being nice and not kind, Jessi. We just talked about this. Can you grab me some lion's mane, please? I can feel it.
But I think that
what are your thoughts on that? Because this is something that I hear. So there's somebody that I follow who works close with the UFC, the fighter dietitian, the angry dietitian, the something dietitian on Instagram. He works very closely with a lot of UFC athletes, and obviously he's still very pro carbs. I think the happy medium for me is like carbs before and immediately after the workout, and the rest of the day, no carbs. But I just don't have the discipline because if I have carbs that day, I want more carbs. And I think when we go back up to like the My Plate, and I think, in theory, if everybody set their plate up like that, would most people be healthier? Absolutely. Right? Thank you. I think absolutely they would be healthier, right? But you hear these stories of people, mainly it's usually autoimmune diseases, where you hear them talk about how they went keto or they went carnivore and they just disappeared. The autoimmune disease is just completely gone.
Yeah. And
you hear it time and time and time again, and you're like, and again, then you have those people that come out the woodworks. Well, there's no science that backs it. There's no peer-reviewed studies. And it's like, okay, I hear what you're saying. But we have to find a way to factor in anecdotal studies and factor in these peer-reviewed studies, and we have to find a way to meet in the middle because there has to be truth over here. And I'm sure there's a little bit of truth over here, but usually over here there's a little bit more of an incentive to not be entirely truthful. Whereas over here, I find myself typically more willing to trust those people. And that's how I've navigated through my life, is mostly through anecdotal things. Whether it's someone coming on Joe Rogan and I'm listening to the episode, I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'll try that. And I'm like, oh, okay, that didn't really work. Or, oh, no, I feel completely different. That was a long-winded question. Sorry.
Well, and I think, too, that there's a few things there. You know, I'll give points to carbs for shelf-stable. Like, you know, thinking about the recommendations I'm going to make to, like, the person who's right in front of me, I am thinking about a few factors. So culture, convenience. Part of that convenience is, like, do you even know how to cook? Like, do you own a chef's knife? Like, sometimes you're starting from there with people. So, you know, I think carbs, both like from an approachability, like just ease of how to cook them, a shelf stable perspective, like they get some points. And just like, you know, how do we upgrade with women in particular? It's like, how do we make sure you're just getting the quantity of food throughout the day? Definitely protein prioritized for sure. That's almost always super low hanging fruit for everybody.
I always tell people, if you stack your day up with as much protein as you can, everything else will fall in its place.
Yes.
To me, that's, I think, is like the easiest nutritional advice for most people. Just eat as much protein as you can, and the rest of it will magically fall into place throughout the day.
Like behavior change 101. Like behavior change is motivation plus ability plus triggers. We can talk about that more if you want. But
yeah, break that down.
Yeah, so behavior change is that motivation is really what is driving you. And there's a handful of things that you can kind of fundamentally break down to. You are motivated to seek pleasure, avoid pain, seek acceptance, avoid rejection, and seek hope and avoid fear. And some combination of those things are what's going to motivate you. I'll do this in an example. Ability is just how easy something is or how easy you perceive it to be. And then triggers are the external or internal things that are going to motivate you to take that action. So in that personal training example, motivation, often that first thing is, I have this fear. I have this family member who has this health issue. I don't want to have that same health issue. Or sometimes there's like an acceptance thing. My body doesn't look the way I want it to look. And so I am seeking sort of the social acceptance, or maybe I've experienced social rejection because of that. You know, so those are some of the typical examples. Ability is just how easy do I perceive this, or how easy is it? And like, add protein, easy. It's in a powder. It's like, you know, less than $2 a serving. You can put it in a cup and throw it down your gullet.
Chug it.
Easy. And triggers, external triggers would be like, I paid a trainer, I paid a nutritionist, I paid a career coach. And those work to a degree. You know, you can get somewhere, you can get started, you can get over that initial habit building, that like, you know, 21 days kind of time with external triggers. But eventually you got to think about what that internal trigger is. And the internal trigger is not someone anyone can give you a prescription for, not something anyone can tell you what to do. It has to come from yourself. This version of yourself that you want to be, this life that you want to live, this career you want to have, that you have decided you want more than the easier thing that's in front of you, or the easier thing you used to do. And I talk to a lot of people who are navigating their health, navigating their careers, navigating the future of their businesses, the future of their family businesses. And all of those people need to have some internal reason why they're going to do this hard process of change. And, you know, as a coach, I want to definitely make that process.
Yeah, he's over there dreaming.
I love public dreams. I always wonder what they're about.
Oh, dude, he's covered in snow. He's in Siberia, covered in snow. He's about to wake up and go into sled dog mode.
Yes.
Cheese is involved.
Cheese. He does love cheese. Yeah, he's a fiend for cheese. He likes his cheese. Sorry.
No, you're so good. But the thing that is my internal trigger, my internal motivator, I have to know what that is really clearly, and I have to actually want that for myself more than the thing I'm trying to change being hard. And now as a coach or a mentor or someone who's helping someone succession plan their business, I need to help make that process easy and help people understand that that process can be easier than maybe they thought. But I can't do the internal trigger for you. Like, you've got to know your own why. And that's the thing, that when you walk by a candy dish that's shiny, you have to think of that person you want to be, that thing you want, more than that thing.
Yeah.
You know, more than the shiny, distractible thing right in front of you. That's how all our apps work, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, they put it on your phone, so it's easy.
Yeah.
They give you a notification, an external trigger.
Boy, and are they getting creative with those notifications, dude.
And then you get that internal trigger of FOMO, that's a fear-based motivator.
Yeah.
And so you have that FOMO of like, what are my friends doing on the internet? What is the, or that fear of missing out, that seeking social acceptance. You're like, what? I want to be part of the thing that's going on.
Yeah.
And so they get you with those external triggers, but they keep you with the internal ones.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, we're tribal as hell. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're tribal creatures. We love being on a team. We love being accepted. We want to fit in naturally. And I feel like the more you understand human nature, the more the world really isn't that shocking. Mm-hmm. The more you're like, oh, the FDA is corrupt. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. People got to the very top. Sure, there's people at the bottom of the FDA that aren't corrupt. But when you go up to the tippity top, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Mm-hmm. Oh, people want to ruin a democracy and make it either communism or fascism. And like, of course, it's not a shock. It's not a surprise, but it's very
it's a byproduct of design of the system. I think that there has been a time, I just didn't grow up going to the doctor a lot. So frankly, I just didn't have a lot of orientation to like the healthcare system being a safe place. Similar to like, I just wasn't around a lot of like any experiences I had with law enforcement growing up were not really pleasant experiences. So both of those things sort of created this like systems fear in me that as an adult, I've tried to step away from and like examine more objectively. And working in the food systems, I've participated in private entities paying universities to conduct studies that they both design and have an outcome that benefits that private company that paid for that study.
Oh, yeah.
And no one in any of those conversations is like twiddling their fingers together, thinking about how they're going to pull a gotcha over people. You know, no one's there like, yes, we're going to get them with this clever experiment. There's someone who's a real scientist who's trained in science and someone who has money in private industry, and they work together to build a study. Like, no one is nefarious, but the outcomes don't feel good. Like, the incentives tell you where the incentives are. The money tells you where the incentives are.
I would push back on no one. I don't think it's no one because we have the Sackler family. I don't think it's no one. But I do mostly agree with what you're saying. I say this a lot. I'm like, I don't know that's necessarily malice. It is usually ignorance, and it's usually money-oriented. Mm-hmm. It is usually desire to make more money and to sell something. And in order to do so, they want to prop it up and make it look better than something else. And that's just typically how it goes. And so they influence the outcome of X and in order to increase the want for Y. And it usually is that simple. I don't think it's usually malice. I would agree. But I do think there is definitely malice in certain circumstances. Like Oxycontin was 1,000%. Wouldn't say like on purpose, but they knew. They knew before that hit the market. The FDA had denied it for 3 straight years. And then they finally put this dude, they locked him up in a hotel. Only God knows what happened in that room. And they come out 3 days later with a signature for it. And then he also takes a cushy $400,000 a year job at Purdue Pharma. And so they knew, and they used very creative wording where they could get it through, where they knew it was highly addictive. And I can't remember the exact label. Have you ever seen the docuseries Painkiller?
I'm from Ohio, though.
Yeah.
And my husband's from Southern Ohio. I mentored in prisons for a couple years, and
so you've probably seen the
I was involved with a church community that was doing some work regarding rehabilitation, and then was mentoring in the prison system as well. And through both of those, saw people walking out of addiction or just navigating the criminal justice system, navigating the prescription health system, and sitting across a desk at a prison having a conversation with a woman who's like, I can tell you exactly how to get this drug. I can tell you instructions to get it above board. I can tell you how to get in a shady way, but there's very much ways and systems to navigate to get it in completely above board ways. Like you can get away with a lot by being a quote good business person, or you can do things all the quote right way, and doesn't mean there's not a problem with the system. And I think that a lot about people's food. It's like you can I believe that no one is coming to help you, so ultimately you do have to help yourself. But people still live in a system that is rife with misinformation. The people you're supposed to trust or are told to trust or pay to trust might just have been out of convenience. Like it all gets like really messy.
But Jessi, the experts say
people tell me I'm an expert in things and I know how much I'm not. And I'm like, don't we think that about everything?
We've just seen that sentence pop up over the last 5 years where everything is just attached to the experts say, but no one's putting their fucking name on it. I'm going to listen to the person who comes out and puts their name on it because they now have something to lose. But if you're just writing these articles, like there was one just not too long ago, fucking New York Times, talking about experts say Robert F. Kennedy's new fitness program should be cautious to people. I don't remember the exact headline, but it was he was saying that it was 50 push-ups and 10 pull-ups. What was it?
Was it the presidential wellness test or some other new
test? It was something like that. Yeah. It was like
some other performance
standard. It was just saying that people should be able to do it was like 50 push-ups and X amount of pull-ups. And the New York Times wrote this op on it talking about experts say to be wary of this new physical fitness test or whatever the fuck they were saying. And it's just like, dude, literally we're just saying to move your body weight. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here? Yeah. Like, how have we gotten so far where moving your body weight X amount of times is now this scary fitness program? Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, it was, the New York, here we go. And the very first sentence is experts say, I know, there's stupid paywall, dude.
It's aggressive.
I don't know if anybody who pays for it, but it's $1 a week.
I got a subscription as a gift.
Did you?
One time. Yeah, I used it. Their recipes are really good.
See, there's probably some use to it. Yeah. But their opinion pieces are trash.
It's just this part is what could go wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, I know my pull-ups are better than Pete Hegg says.
It was like expert. The first sentence in it was experts say to be wary. It was, anyways, but it just like people
To be clear,
this around.
I would not send like someone who's been sitting on the couch to go do that workout for sure.
No, but you should.
But I hear
but you should be able to do it. Like I'm
Yes.
not like. If you're not 400 pounds, you should be able to do 50 push-ups in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Right? Like at some point, like
I don't know about pull-ups though. Pull-ups are hard.
pull-ups are difficult. Yes. Pull-ups are definitely difficult. But again, how did we get to this point where we just expected so little of people?
Mm-hmm.
And we just, this is my biggest problem with the left is it's everyone's a fucking victim and they talk down about every single person. Minority groups get it the worst. They're constantly talking down on them as if they're just the absolute worst victims in the entire world. They have no self-accountability, they don't think for themselves, and the left is just constantly pandering on this and constantly throwing it in your face. And that is my biggest issue with the political left, where it's just like, dude, fucking lay off of it.
Yeah.
They're.
Yeah, I think there's this like, we're in this really weird moment where the Christian fundamentalists on the far right will like finger wag at you for X behavior.
Yeah.
And like far leftists will wag at you for some other, like finger wag at you for some other behavior. And it's like, none of that is constructive no matter who's saying it. It's dogma that doesn't help us come together and solve problems. And I think I am also really excited about the work that I do in food, because that really transcends a lot. Like I spend time, I'm an independent. I've been an independent my whole life. I've voted for or volunteered for both parties. I've worked elections several times.
As you should. Like, I think that should be the norm. The norm should be, I'm going to be here. I'm going to allow y'all to speak. And then I'm going to make a decision. It shouldn't be like, I'm married to this. And working in the hosting space, I see, and it's not that the right doesn't do this, but you see it so much more heavily on the left, where it is vote blue no matter who. And I see these websites and you click on them and they're real websites. And they're like, that's what it says. The title on the page, vote blue no matter who. And I'm like, that is so dangerous. It's equally dangerous on the other side. But it's just the fact that people really subscribe to that thought process. And then that's how we get to where we are.
And I think that kind of mindset helps people not participate in the process. So,
yeah, and you also don't think for yourself.
Yes.
You're just like, oh, Democrat? Check. 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 And you didn't do any critical thinking.
Yes.
You didn't factor in any nuance whatsoever. That's probably my second biggest issue, is just everybody taking these very small sound bites that are purposely cut in a very specific fashion.
Yes.
And then also out of context. And there are these complex conversations, right? Whether it's the food system, whether it's corruption in science, whether it's the COVID vaccine, whether it's what X, Y, and Z, take whatever major topic, Ukraine, Israel in Palestine. They take these very small snippets and then they make a harsh judgment on something that is so complex. Like Israel and Palestine. What's happening? Fucking awful. But a lot of people don't even understand how, like the Israeli government, I didn't even know this until the other day. Israeli government operates still very similar to how the Greece government used to operate, where they have like 12 or 13 different political parties. So Netanyahu won with a 26% approval rating. But since there's 12 parties running, that was the highest. So you're essentially the least favorite out of the least favorites, or the most favorite out of the least favorites.
Yes.
And it's interesting because we always talk about here in the US how we hate the two-party system. There should be more parties, but then I never even factored that in. That was my own ignorance. I didn't know that there was countries with 12 parties, 13 parties, and apparently Greece had this issue as well. And their remedy was, I think you had to hit a certain threshold. So yeah, you could have as many parties as you want, but in order to win the election, you have to hit like 40%.
Yeah. I feel like a proxy that kind of exists in our system would be like ranked choice voting, sort of. Yeah, it's interesting because my in-laws have one political affiliation and my parents have another, and they both have been in their same political affiliation since their youthhood.
Yeah.
And I've always said that I vote with my gosh, why did I forget this thing I always say all the time that's so catchy?
Forgot your own catchphrase.
I know, right? But it's like policies over party, conviction over party. That's the thing I'm forgetting. I have a catchy word for the letter C. And I was like, conviction over candidates. That's it. That's the thing. Yeah. So I vote with my convictions over candidates. I have these... And those change over time. Like I get new information and I vote more left on this issue or more right on that issue. And at the end of the day though, people do just want the things right in front of them to be easy. Like they want their kids to go to good schools. Yep. They want their groceries and housing and food and, everyday stuff to be affordable.
Yep.
And hopefully they want that for the other people in their community. Like that's bonus points if you want that, to be honest.
No, it's true. I mean, most of us want the exact same thing. And we're seeing the breeding ground of communism because once the middle class goes away, that's the breeding ground. Because now you have a large portion of the population that has to rely on the government. It's very interesting. There is people who just want to rely on the government. They want to take the easy way out. That's just human nature. And people want, like you were saying, people want the easy route, whether it's fitness. That's why magic pills worked for a while. That's why Ozempic is the most selling drug of all time. People want some easy pill, 6-pack abs in 30 minutes. All those fitness. I used to work for 6-pack shortcuts. Like it works. Like it just works. People crave that. They don't want to actually put in the hard work.
I would push on that just because I'm thinking too about I take the systems view too of that time that I spent mentoring in prisons. I also volunteered for a long time at a school that had a lot of at-risk youth at it. And there is this factor of, a friend gave me this great example with poverty one time. If you play euchre, do you guys play euchre in this part of the country? Do you know what that is? Okay, it's like you basically get dealt cards and you're trying to put them in little groupings like you would in poker, but you only get so many and you try and run out of cards. It's a card game. And the shitty part about the card game is you only get the cards you're dealt. And you can't get new cards. And you're like, I would like some new cards. I would like more money in my cards. I would like more resources. I would like more free time. I would like more vacation time. And sometimes you're just dealt the cards you're dealt that making those changes more difficult. There's been a lot of conversation recently about SNAP and SNAP benefits. There is absolutely fraud in SNAP. But it's 1 in 1,000 people on SNAP commit fraud. And the question I would rather us be asking is, why have we done such a poor job of educating people about nutrition? Why have we done such a poor job at making local food systems accessible to people? I drive through a lot of small towns in the work that I do with farms, and the nicest buildings in most small towns in America are the church and the Dollar General. And I'd like to see more of the churches handing out some food and supporting their local farms. But most of the days of the week that I drive by those buildings are closed. And the Dollar General doesn't have a produce section.
Sure.
And I see that, again, like, and no one's coming to help you, but I see that we've built a system that's a real uphill battle.
But it's still better than just about everywhere. So this is where it gets tricky, because it's not that I disagree. I was listening to this today, where I was listening to Andy Frisella, and he had on Becky Wise, and she was saying when she was a single mom, she was on WIC. It was called WIC at that time, and she was saying that
the Farm Bill, by the way, is the piece of legislature that dictates the programs that the USDA runs. There's over 100 programs for different types of food and food assistance and conservation and stuff. It's a super complicated piece of bureaucracy.
Bureaucracies, sure. Yeah. That's where we fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
That ultimately, a lot of it comes down to bureaucracy. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just so many different things, different loopholes, over-regulations. I'm a raw milk guy, right? Mm-hmm. This is a perfect example. I'm a raw milk guy. Mm-hmm. I drink raw milk. Fucking delicious. I love it. I feel so much better.
Yeah.
It gives me zero issues from like a gut standpoint.
Yeah.
It feels like steroids. Like, I feel stronger. Like, I go through periods where I'll buy it and it's kind of expensive, and I'm like, all right, I'll lay off of it a bit. I don't drink a lot of regular milk, but I drink it. When I do get raw milk, I'm chugging it. I love it, right? Mm-hmm. And it's one of those things where, everybody brings up, well, there's a risk to getting it. Well, there's a risk of getting everything, right? And most of that risk is just buying. Who are you buying your fucking raw milk from, dude? Mm-hmm. Like, don't buy it from Pete. Like, buy it from a credible farm that has all it is if the cows are tested, there is no issues with the raw milk.
That's a perfect example of something where we're talking about the wrong thing. Like, I work closely with farms and ranchers, a lot of small scale folks, and they have to go through all the same food safety training that if you've ever worked in a restaurant or run a restaurant, they're beholden to all those same procedures and policies, and they get inspected on them. I don't drink milk. I have a dairy allergy, so I don't have a dog in that fight. But I have done work with the Farm and Ranch Freedom Alliance. And as I've learned about the legislation and how the different impacts of big food participate in that process, the talking points of raw milk not being safe are big food talking points. That's what their lobbyists go in and tell your state or local representatives. Here in Texas, in the last legislative session, there was some work done on a raw milk bill, but it didn't have anything to do with safety. None of the safety changes, there were no safety changes related to this legislation. It was all about distribution. So a lot of the regulation that can affect small farms, at least to my knowledge here in Texas, has a lot to do with how it's distributed. For example, if you want to order raw milk and you're at the farmer's market, you can't just walk by someone with raw milk and be like, oh, hey, I'll take some of that. You have to have pre-ordered it online or gone to go get it. They've created these barriers for consumers to just buy a thing they want. And like, from a commerce perspective, it's like, if you want to buy the thing, like, you should be able to buy the thing.
That's not a free market.
It shouldn't be it shouldn't be more or less difficult for you to buy the thing you want to buy, regardless of where you're getting it from. And then it's on you as the consumer to understand what you're getting and ask questions of that producer. And the government does hold them accountable in terms of food safety regulations. Like, those things aren't absent. And when we were doing advocacy work for this bill in Texas to remove that barrier for people to buy raw milk without a pre-order, a lot of the questions that legislators and their staff would ask back is like, well, what does that have to do with this safety thing or that safety thing? It's like, the fact that you're even asking about the safety of the product means we're talking about the wrong thing. Like, we've totally just gotten distracted by what is a market access problem and made it into a safety problem because someone at a big food company doesn't want to make it easier for local small folks to sell their goods.
Yeah. And people have gotten sick from it, but people also get sick from chicken from the grocery store. Like, that is you're right. People get fixated on these talking points where it's like, okay, in the grand scheme of things, this is not the issue, right? Like, you can get sick. You can go to the store, buy bad ground beef, and get E. coli just the same that you could from a raw milk. Like, that's what are we talking about here? But the point is like, there are people who are lactose intolerant who drink raw milk and have zero issues. There's so many people that could benefit, whether it's just I'm just happier now because I can still drink milk. I love milk, but I'm lactose intolerant, but I can drink this. But now you're making it so difficult for me to buy this. And then so I'm like, fuck it. I just won't even drink milk, but I want milk. That'd make me happier.
Yes.
Right.
And it's like, then you create this distribution problem. You create this distribution problem, mask it in a safety problem, but then you've also created this inequality problem as a result. And it's so interesting when you are doing that advocacy work. It's like, all right, here's the right talking points and here's the left talking points. So just be careful which paper you're using depending on which office you're going in. But the it's interesting, that language choice. To a degree it divides us, but I think also being in the fitness space, like, to a degree it can make you feel like you're an in-group. That's a different topic we could get into, is that in-group, out-group language. But in my district, I went to my representative's office. There's a food bank that my church works with in our community that's in my zip code, and they couldn't get raw milk from a farm to hand out to people in need of food. And that's a lot of what the history of the USDA is mired in, is paying out subsidies for people to destroy food when people are in times of need. The Depression is rife with stories and issues of that, as well as right after World War II. And it's like, we should be getting food to people who need it with as few barriers as possible that maintain safety.
And this goes back, and it goes back to your point where no one's coming to save you, right? I famously always talk about how in California, the average salary of a person working on the homelessness is $170,000. Why the fuck would I fix the problem? I think that's where a lot of people really get fed up, is they see a lot of these programs advertised in a certain fashion. They're asking for donations, and then nothing happens. And I think that is where we're at with a lot of different things. I think that's how ICE comes about. I think that's how very strong conservative values come about, because you see inner cities constantly voting blue, constantly ran by Democrats, and nothing changing. And it constantly seems like something's getting worse. And you're just like, what are we doing here? And then you find out, the average salary is $170K, or, the BLM leader went and bought $6 million worth of mansions in Florida. And then good old, his name is Hawk. He just got one of the leaders, he just got arrested for assaulting a black man. And then was bringing up, anyways. But back to the SNAP, it's like, I think that's people's frustration with a lot of this is, I do think there is there is obvious fraud. There are illegal immigrants that use this service. This does happen. There is fraud. There are people that milk the system and they stay on it. And then there is people who truly need it. And it's so hard to get to these people because there is a layer of X, Y, and Z above them. I talk about this like with mental health. Everybody has a self-proclaimed mental health issue, but none of them went to a psychiatrist. They go to a therapist. The therapist tells them they're depressed. And now they think they have the worst depression in the entire world. Where it's like, probably not. The chances are really slim that you do. Most of us probably feel the same generally speaking, about most things. We probably get anxious when we're in a new setting, about to try something new, about to meet a new person, about to go on a date, whatever it is. We probably all feel a level of anxiety. Depression, someone died, I'm sad. That's probably normal. I feel like most of us go through, or even like a seasonal depression, like, oh, it's raining outside, I don't feel too good today. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is just normal, but now we've made it to where everybody has this problem and you just don't know how I feel. Mm-hmm. Jessi, you just don't know how sad I am. Mm-hmm. What, like, you have masked mental health with narcissism. and now the people who are truly mentally ill, who have severe PTSD, very bad depression where it just does not go away. Mm-hmm. You have people with actual bipolar disorder, not freaking this, I always make the joke of borderline personality disorder that's always thrown around by therapists. It was a famous clip not too long ago. Patrick Bet-David sat down with 20 people and he had a debate. And he sat down with this girl and she was telling her how she was sitting there explaining to him how she can't get a job because of X, Y, and Z. And he was like, okay, I will pay for everything for you. I will send you to the best therapist. I'll get you the best help and we'll get you a job. Mm-hmm. But you have to go see a psychiatrist first. Mm. And she was like, no, I'm not going. I'm not doing it. And he was like, what? You just sat here and told me you have all these issues. Let's get you some real help. Mm-hmm. Let's send you to an actual person who can diagnose this. And then you can go talk to somebody. Mm-hmm. That's fine. And she was like, no, I'm not going to do it. And I feel like that's where we're at with so many things. Like there's so many things that we've gotten to this point where there is this layer of people that you can't fucking stand that are ruining it for the people who truly need help. Mm. And I feel like we're at that with so many different systems, mm-hmm. whether it's SNAP, whether it's mental health, whether it's immigration, whether it's mm-hmm. Immigration was ruined the last 4 years because of what was allowed to happen and how many people came over who were either the cart. We could spend hours talking about just the amount of the cartel that has taken over small towns in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Mariana Van Zeller, Trafficked on Hulu, fucking phenomenal. Very first episode of season 5 is talking about how they have set up shop in so many small towns in the U.S. They have hired U.S. workers. They are now in U.S. politics. The money is deeply embedded now. And all of that took place in the last 4 years. And it's like, why can't we have just a legitimate conversation over immigration without it being like, no, everyone should be able to be here or no one should be able to be here. Mm-hmm. Neither of those are correct.
No, neither of those are correct.
Neither of those are correct.
It's like my neighbors, I live on a street with a lot of landscapers and contractors and people doing like real working class hard jobs.
Doing great jobs.
I get up early and I talk to my neighbors about these issues because they're scared too. And I've been in the same place for a while. Like their kids come help take out the trash when we're out of town, or like, I have a neighbor who's a taxi driver. Like he picks us up from the airport sometimes. And like, I've had people disappear and I'm lucky they came back.
Yeah.
And they didn't need to because they had everything they needed in order. But if you cross a T or dot an I wrong on a piece of paper, you're going to be out $4,000 a person and have to wait 4 years to spend the next $4,000. Like that's not easy. And by the way, do it in your second language.
Yeah. We have to look how we got here.
100%.
Right?
Yeah. And I think there's that this element of food, family, all these things are so collective and necessary to the human experience that it all does feel, I think the more I have learned about nature, I want to rip my hair out more at the systems that we've built, because we're imposing control on people and imposing like a way of being that we feel like is right or wrong. You know, we, collective, society, systems, bureaucracy, governments, educational institutions. And I have had the opportunity to meet a lot of different people in my life and travel a lot. I did evangelism for many years. I worked for international companies and got to like go to several different countries, an opportunity I definitely would not have had if a business wasn't forking the plane tickets, you know? And as I've had the opportunity, I was talking to my husband about this the other day. I was like, I think I've easily met 10,000 different people in my life, no doubt. And he was like, yeah, I think you're underestimating it, honestly, because I'm also an extrovert on top of all those things. And so I have met all these different versions of a human in my life. And that makes every new person that I meet a less scary. Because I'm like, oh, I've met a human like you before.
Yeah.
And also reminds me how similar we all are. Yeah. It's like, I've met a human like you, but like the British version of you. Or I've met a human like you, but the Indian version of you, or the Chinese version of you. And those people exist. And they also like want to like live a healthy, full life and get caught up in their own bullshit about how to do it right or wrong. And yeah, like coming back to that regenerative ag example, it's like nature is going to give you the signals about what you actually need, and you can completely ignore it, or you can like lean in and listen, because it's going to speak way more quietly than a bunch of people yelling.
Yeah, I mean, that's why just waking up and going out and doing a morning walk is so beneficial, right? The control thing is interesting because people are just, I mean, they love this whole control. Like, we need more control. We need more regulation. Like China coming out with this, only people with degrees can talk about certain topics. In theory, this sounds wonderful, but it just shows how naive people are, because that's not human nature. It's not how that works. It's worded that way, but behind the scenes, that is just another way for me to control what is coming out, and I can make sure that everything stays like this. Because we're in that point now where there is so many different alternative media where they're still playing the game, and they're playing the game hard, and they're trying.
Traditional media?
They're trying, and and somehow they're still fucking holding on. I don't know how the View stays on. I don't know how MSNBC.
Pharmaceutical companies pay them to run ads. That is
exactly how it goes. Brought to you by Pfizer. We went through 4 years. Brought to you by Pfizer. Brought to you by Pfizer. Brought to you by Pfizer. And it's fascinating. I mean, they're
local car companies.
Yeah, it's true. Yes, totally. It's true. Yes. Yeah, I mean, they're somehow staying afoot, right? And it's holding on to that control, and we lost so much during COVID, and we'll never get that back. And people don't understand why they're so reluctant on gun regulations and things like that, because we know what happens once you give. It does not just stop. We're not going to find this equal median. Like, this is just not human nature. We're not going to find this equal median where only legal citizens can get guns, bad guys will never have them, and it'll be this perfect, harmonious world. That's not how that happens. The UK gave up their guns only 30 years ago, and they're about to succumb to digital IDs. It does not take that long to go from no control to absolute control.
Do you have a passport?
I do. I travel a lot.
Have you?
Or I did.
How long ago did you get your passport? How old is it?
Probably 4 years now.
Okay, I don't know when this changed. I just had to renew mine for some international travel I did this year, and I was applying for a visa to go to the UK on that trade mission, and this was so wild. I was applying for the visa, and on the UK site, also, like, if you fly, like, They have your face. They have your eyes.
Yeah.
Everything it's already there. If you've had a job or like a lot of volunteer, like your fingerprints, all your stuff's out there. It's on your phone.
I know.
There's we got
too comfortable with it.
There's a degree of like laissez-faire that I'm like, I also don't think I'm not that important.
But I think they've got us way too comfortable feeling that way.
Let me finish the UK story and then I'll finish this.
Yes.
This is wild. So I was going to apply for this visa and the instructions were like, send a photo of your passport, enter the information. And then it was like, flip it over, open it up, sit your phone on it. And there's a little microchip or something in there that or magnet or something that was like, I sat my phone on it and it beeped.
Wait, is it syncing your passport to your phone?
No, it's like applying. There's like something in the passport that helps you apply for the visa. It was like some type of digital. I felt like I was in a spy movie applying for this visa.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And they probably just write it off as this convenient technology that allows you to just quickly get through this.
Well, and I try to be mindful of my privacy to a degree. I've taken like more advanced steps at different points in time. And then I just felt like a sucker when I flipped the thing over and like put my phone on it. And I was like, there was a microchip in it the whole time, or a magnet or whatever it is. Yeah. I'm sure someone somewhere, there's a disclosure about what it is that you like say you're fine with having.
That we'll never read.
But yes, exactly.
That's your phone.
Well, but I mean, dude, the terms and like, when a company, who reads the terms and services? When a company updates it, and obviously there's consumer responsibility, blah, 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 blah. I get it. But who fucking sits there and reads all of it? The terms and conditions on TikTok.
It was like a South Park episode about what you're describing.
It's so invasive. They have complete control.
Yeah. Passport microchip, an e-passport chip. It uses radio frequency identifying technology and near-field communication to store and transmit information.
That is so not good. And they always do it through fear. Look at the last sentence, which helps prevent fraud and can speed up border crossings. Everyone's like, oh, I don't want to have my identity stolen. I would love to get to the border quicker. Mm-hmm. This is just how things they always go this way, and history consistently repeats itself. And yeah, I mean, again, the UK in 30 years of giving up guns goes from the UK to now, like, what do we, like?
So not all of them are biometric passports.
So can you opt out of it?
Or if it's newer. Yeah, because I had just needed to renew mine.
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, it's just like BlackRock bought freaking Ancestry.com. Why aren't people more up? Like, I mean, I guess I get it though. Like at this point, people just feel helpless. Mm-hmm. People feel like the system's just going to do what it does no matter what. Yeah. And unfortunately, that's exactly how they want us to feel. But we're the ones with the power.
Even more reason to do the boring stuff.
Probably a biometric because it started in August of 2007.
But it's not. Is it all of them?
I'm assuming anything after 2007 is when we started doing it.
Thanks, Patriot Act.
It's like, how we had to get.
We got fucked there too, dude. Jesus, man.
So if you have this symbol on the front of your passport,
yeah,
that's
it looks like a Pokemon ball. But a square.
I don't know if I have that.
But it's not.
I don't have my passport, on me.
Now you can check.
I want to come back to what you were just about to say. But before I lose my train of thought, there are pivotal moments in the last 20 years that we just overlook and did not care nearly enough about. The Patriot Act is the first one. They slid that in so fucking sneakily. Whoop. No one cared. No one thought that they would use it to spy on American citizens. The same thing that it's the same game every time. Mm-hmm. And that was the Republican Party. Then no one talks about in 2012 or 2015? Check me on that, please. Smith-Mundt Act. When did Obama overturn this?
This one?
It wasn't 2025 now. But yeah, that's how you spell it. 2012, there it is. In 2012, the Obama administration said that, so they used Cuba as the excuse. When you go to Cuba, they listen to so much American media. Mm-hmm. And they said that in order to make sure that Cuba doesn't know what's going on over here, we're going to redact the Smith-Mundt Act that had been in place since the 1940s that said it was illegal to propagandize American citizens, that you could not run propaganda in the U.S. And they reenacted that in 2012 with the excuse of, so Cuba didn't know what the fuck was going on over here, even though all they care about is our baseball. They love baseball, dude.
Shout out to Shohei. Yeah. Good work by the Dodgers.
The Dodgers
Exciting.
won back-to-back years. Yeah. They used that, and then now here we are, not even 12 years later, and you can't trust a single fucking thing. Mm-hmm. It doesn't take that long. Mm-hmm. It does not take that long. We saw it all through COVID. We see it no matter who's in office. And so those are two pivotal moments in our lifetime that no one talks about nearly enough, and how much it has impacted us, and how much just leeway and control and just self-preservation or self-protection that we have just given up to the government. We just given it to them. Mm-hmm. And they didn't have to do anything. They didn't have to use any force. They always do it through these sneaky methods. And then now here we are. Mm-hmm. Now they can lie to us and it's not illegal. Mm-hmm. You have CNN changing Joe Rogan's face and putting a yellow filter on it. Not illegal. No one gets in trouble for that. And then they tell you that he took horse dewormer. No one's held accountable for it. They tell you that the COVID came from a bat. No one's accountable for that. They tell you 6 feet away, masks. Then they come out and say, oh yeah, that was all made up. The mask didn't really work unless you had an N95, which we knew for the entire time. Anybody who was paying any kind of remote attention fucking knew. You would see, I worked at Rooms to Go during COVID, so I was only out of work for 6 weeks, and then we went right back to work. Because I think right after about 6 weeks, most people are like, oh, okay, yeah. I think most of us are over this.
I launched 10 cities of in-home services during the pandemic, and navigating different regulatory standards from state to state or city to city was really challenging.
Very much. 6 weeks and you're back. California.
Dude, California, they didn't go back for, there's places that didn't go back for 2 years.
You still wear masks to this day.
That's so crazy.
That's wild to me.
Bonkers, dude. It's so, and honestly, it's sad because it just shows the number that they can do on people. When they put enough resources behind it, when they're driven enough, when there's enough financial motivation, aka $36 billion in 1 year just to Pfizer, when there's enough motivation and enough gain to be had, they will make it happen. And they can make it happen. And it is so scary how many people just rolled over.
Yeah. I'm curious if this is on your radar at all. I spend a lot of time with hippies and cowboys, and they talk about this phenomenon in very different ways, but they both talk about the same thing. And this emergence in 2027 of something, and like regeneration. My hippie circles will sometimes use, or like more new age kind of friends will use the language of like Age of Aquarius. Other circles will use just like societal collapse. I did a lot of research when I was working with an education technology company like circa 2018. And a lot of the workforce conversation at that time was, we had just sort of figured out what gig economy was. A lot of contractor and worker rights were being navigated at state levels in the court systems of like, well, do these people have to pay taxes? How much can you tell them what to do versus not? And the research at the time was like, 50% of workers by 2027 will be gig workers. And with the emergence of AI, we can sort of see this societal shift happening. Like you can see how work could change if AI goes on this freight train that it's on.
So I googled Age of Aquarius 2027.
And I would say that's
in science, technology, and society, and a shift in our understanding of personal identity.
Yeah. And I would say that's the like new age kind of language around it. I've heard different sort of shifts in 2027 talked about from different circles. I would say this wording is definitely like the most concise.
You know what this isn't?
I'm curious if like sort of 2027 as an inflection point in society is like on your radar. If you have heard, like I am hearing this like frustration with like where we're at, right?
Yeah.
And it's like this sense of like something's gotta give.
Oh, word.
And it's like, what is it gonna be? What will be on the other side of it? And I think when I talk about both my hippie and cowboy friends, and like, you know, that's where some of that regenerative language gets co-opted, has kind of a negative sense about it, but it gets used not just to describe like soil health, but it can also be used to describe societal change and new ways of doing businesses that are more regenerating, that give back to the system rather than just extract and take out. And I'm seeing more clearly from that workforce perspective, working on the future of work stuff that I did, you know, around 2018, and kind of the work that I do now, how labor market shift. I'm like, work is gonna change. And I see that really clearly. And I'm curious how you see it or how you feel it from where you sit.
Yeah, so it's funny that you say that because 2027 was not on my radar until about 8 hours ago. So I don't know. Have you been?
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know if have you been keeping up with I3 Atlas? Is that the name of this comet? Is it I3?
Oh,
I always get mixed up with the letter in front of the 3. Anyways, allegedly,
another piece of, you know, when you talk to like
3i
Atlas, thank you. So allegedly, I guess the lore behind it is that it's supposed to make contact in 2027. That's when it's supposed to make it back to us. And so I've delved into it very lightly. I have not listened to the episode. The Harvard professor was just on Joe Rogan. I haven't listened to it yet. My friends have been sending me a whole bunch of shit. The images of it are absolutely crazy. They're not showing. You can Google it and they don't show the images that I've seen the Harvard professor bring up. It looks like a fucking spaceship. Nonetheless, so I guess for those who are listening don't know what we're talking about, it's a comet that they've been tracking for a long time. It is currently right now the fastest moving thing in our universe. Theoretical physicists, it's on their radar. They don't fully know if it's a comet or if it's something else. It moves and acts very differently and very weird. And then there's like a conspiracy about how in 1977 we received a message that was quote unquote, I guess for the I'm gonna paraphrase, but essentially, from my understanding, it was saying we'll be there soon. And allegedly, this is supposed to make contact in 2027. So, to your question, that is the professor, yes. It was not on my radar until earlier this morning, the year 2027. But what you're talking about has been on my radar now for a while. I actually texted my friend. I sent him a voice memo. He works for Costco. He's a stalker. Costco pays pretty well now. Gets paid, $30+ an hour. He's doing, that's good, honest work, right?
Yep.
Can't complain with that. You got good benefits, the whole 9 yards. And I sent him a message and said, bro, you need to be prepared. Like now. This is happening now. The reports just started coming out this month. Amazon, 600,000 people by 2033. UPS, 170,000 people. It's happening right now, and it will happen no matter what. We've unlocked the box that there is no putting it back in. Elon Musk warned us about this 8 years ago, 2019, 2018. He said, if we do not start regulating this now, it is going to fuck us. And here we are.
Yes.
We did not listen. Of course we didn't listen. Why would we listen? He's a Nazi. Ugh, duh. And so here we are now, and people are going to lose their jobs. It's inevitable. Now, on the flip side, the optimistic point of view of it is, I've heard Mark Andreessen talk about this, and I've heard Naval talk about this. Are you familiar? I've heard both of them talk about this in a very optimistic point of view. Their thought process is that now, obviously, people are going to lose their jobs, and it's going to be crazy at first. But in theory, this now allows everyone to become a creator. And it allows everyone to do either this, where we're exchanging. It allows for people to come in and create goods. It allows people to come in and create services. And it allows everyone to be an entrepreneur. Obviously, that is very optimistic. I really hope that's how it goes. But then to what you're talking about right now is the exact opposite. It's very Ready Player One-esque. It's very apocalyptic-esque. It's very people lose purpose.
Yes. And it comes back to what we were talking about earlier, is like being an entrepreneur, being your own boss. No one else is going to tell you what to do. Yeah. There's also some of the basic sort of skills of like, you have to kind of have a grasp of like how finances and taxes and all these things kind of work. And we just like don't get that information.
We just gave a tax seminar yesterday.
Yeah.
Not literally, but we were at, so I competed yesterday in San Antonio. Yeah. My buddy Abraham, he was the guy I was telling you about. He was a molecular biologist. He's now a full-time jiu-jitsu competitor. He left the science field completely for a few different reasons. He realized pretty quickly that, Aria, move off the cord. But chill. Don't you do it.
You're straddling it. I just want you to be on one side.
Put them outside, please.
I love your kisses.
So he left the science field for multiple different reasons. He realized that you're just kind of running your feet in the sand and you're not really making too big of a difference. Yeah,
it's a long game kind of career.
Very much a long game. He realized that you're just not going to you're not going to change a lot. And his professor was a sleeper cell for China. Wow. His professor was stealing information and sending it back to China. And he found out a couple months after leaving the program that his professor had to flee back to China. Wow. And so
that's wild.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, it's like one of those things you hear about, but you don't really necessarily know anybody who's been interacted in that, or maybe you've heard a story or two. But it was very interesting. I know a guy who was in that, right? And so he said he was anyway, so he left that. But now he owns his own business, and we were talking to two jiu-jitsu guys who are own their own school in San Antonio. And he was telling them, so here in Austin, I don't know how much you know, but here in Austin, it's like the jiu-jitsu hub. Like this is the best jiu-jitsu in the entire world. Cool. We have Gordon Ryan, John Danaher. They opened up a gym here in Austin called Kingsway. And then there's
best fitness community in this whole city, everywhere.
It's,
all kinds of practices.
All kinds, yeah. You can find the best CrossFit gyms. You can find the best gyms. Like you got On It downtown. There's so many. There's no reason not to be fit in Austin, Texas. Nonetheless, so Kingsway opened up this year, which Gordon Ryan's he is the best grappler ever. John Danaher is the best martial arts coach of all time. They both run that gym together. It's the best jiu-jitsu team in the world. And so these guys, they train in San Antonio. They own their own gym. And Abe was kind of telling them their training methods at Team New Wave, which is their team name, and telling them kind of like passing that knowledge along, right? And he was telling them like, hey, all you got to do is just write it all off on you own a business. the gas to go, it's learning material. So the gas to go to Austin to come train here, the instructionals you buy, the membership to the gym, all of that is a tax write-off. And we're explaining this to them because I've had some experience with this working as a 1099 employee for a gym. And dude, anything gym related, that's getting written off, right? And we're telling them all this, and they were like, holy shit, dude. No one's ever told me this.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this. And people don't realize the tax book is like 100 pages long, and 96 of it is how to not pay them.
Yes.
And 4 is how to pay them. That's why, and again, talking points are so silly. The whole tax the rich or Mandami right now, we're going to raise it to 52% instead of 50%, and that's going to fix everything. That's just not how it works. These people in these companies, whether it's Tesla, whether it's Microsoft, whatever, those guys, they're gonna write their taxes off. It's not that they don't pay taxes; they just put it towards something else. And in my opinion, oftentimes that's probably better than going to the government. Usually, because what does that give us? It gets us 35's been worked on for 30 plus years. You know those all money laundering.
Yep.
Construction at that scale is usually a money laundering gig.
It's like any kind of government contracting work is rife with blood.
Yeah.
Of any sort. The military is the same.
Yes.
Yeah.
You saw it with Dick Cheney. Yeah, like you see it all the time, but people still... And I don't know if it's maybe they're just holding on to hope and they're naive or they're just dumb. I don't know anymore because at this point, I don't understand how you haven't caught on. And so nonetheless, it's just like we blew their mind. They were like, holy shit, I can just write all this off and then I'm going to lower how many taxes I pay every year. And it's like, that's what it is, right?
Above the standard deduction. Yes, kids. I'm a retired banker. I have 15 years of financial services, mostly commercial and collateral backed lending and some time in troubled assets. And this is the thing that was so eye-opening to me when I started my career in banking because I was working on some really complicated shit. I never took a finance course in college. I had taken a lot of like management, marketing. I went to a liberal arts school, and I'm not mad that I went to a liberal arts school. And I think I got a good education at my liberal arts school. Like, I think I learned a lot about how to research, how to ask questions, how to like formulate thoughts and like back up why I believe what I believe. And also, I think as I've aged as an adult, I'm more happy to be open-handed about certain things and be like, there's probably a right answer to that. And I don't care. And if you care, you can go find it. But because I came in, not like any college really teaches you how to do the job you're going to do anyway, but because I felt like I came in on the back foot, I put a lot of work into like reading contracts and really complicated structured finance, like tranched terms and lots of conditions, especially on really troubled stuff, like if this, then that, and all in this legal terminology that you can look at and get dizzy at, or take your time and read slowly and figure it out. And as I put in that effort, I was so frustrated because I was like, why do lawyers get paid so much? They just read. I've had lawyers sort of finger wag at me at different points in my career and be like, you can't do that. And I was like, motherfucker, I can read. Like, so that has been, it's such an interesting part of it, so I've taken it upon myself to like self-teach and learn and get mentors in those types of skills. And it's learnable. And in doing so, I've seen how the system is like written and rigged against people who don't have as many resources or might be intimidated by those things, or, people with money get to be the people with lawyers who write the legal documents. And, you know, you can be on the other side of a bad situation if you haven't been careful. And, you know, so I have just coming back to that system theme again, like, man, I've like really seen how you can put people in an uphill battle when the power imbalance isn't right. The power in many forms, in like physical power, in money, in social capital, you name it.
Yeah. Are you familiar with George Washington's farewell speech?
Mm-mm. Actually, I feel like someone's mentioned this to me.
I think
like
this week. It might have been me.
Oh.
I don't know. Well, it wasn't this week, but it might have been a couple of exchanges ago when we were talking. I know there was a few different exchanges we had. It was during the Tylenol time, and then during my clip how being fit is a Republic a far right wing.
Yes.
Thanks MSNBC, you fucks, dude.
You all live in a body. You should all learn how to move it. Everyone at the gym
dude.
Everyone at the gym is doing it wrong and looks stupid.
This is true.
So just go there and do it wrong and look stupid.
Yeah.
Go slow. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what it was or what they were tapped into. Probably because they had just left tyranny. But they were so tapped into human nature. George Washington literally nailed point by point by point what we are going through right now. He was like, avoid political divide no matter what. He was like, avoid it. Fuck, dude. Whenever she comes back. But it was, it's spot on. And I'm like, dude, how are they so aware? But then because it was so relevant. They had just lived through it. And we're at this point now where people in America have gotten so comfortable. I think there's an amount of people who don't believe it can happen here. I think that there is people who feel so hopeless and they feel so angry towards capitalism where they now want to turn to socialism. We're seeing it right now in New York and Minneapolis. And it's been so long since someone here has experienced that. But it's always interesting because immigrants are typically very Republican.
Yes, because
very conservative because they just left it. Anytime you talk to someone from Venezuela, I have friends from Ukraine that have come over here. Any Eastern European, South America, like El Salvador, Colombia, when they come over here, they are starch Republicans. They vote red no matter who.
Yes,
and they get judged for that by Americans of that same heritage, but they've been in America. They're probably second generation, third generation, or even, sometimes first generation, not as often, but sometimes. And they get judged for that when it's just like, no, they're trying to tell you the writings on the wall. They're trying to be like, no, I've seen this game plan before. I've seen all of this before. And this is what happened. And this is how it happened. And this is where it's headed. And no matter how many people try to tell you, we still find ourselves in this moment where people think socialism is a better idea than capitalism. And they're so angry at capitalism. And so I think about this a lot because I'm like, I try to put myself in their shoes and I can understand, like we're talking about the system. People associate capitalism with the system. It's not so much that capitalism is the issue, it's human nature. It's humans are it's greed, it's corruption, it's power, it's I always make the joke like, how much money is a fucking enough money? Right? Like,
yeah, like Billie Eilish was getting all this haze. She made those comments about like, if you're a billionaire, like maybe give your money away. And then people on the internet were like, you have a lot of money.
She's
it's
worth
like
$50 million. Yeah.
But also like
donating 11 million to charities.
Yeah. But
and also like $1 billion is 90 more than 11 million, like,
but to sit here, but
okay. Yeah, 100%.
But to sit here and be like, you should give away your money. That's their fucking money. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying they shouldn't be able to make as much money as they want. just to me, I would hit a certain point where I'd be like, this is pretty fucking cush.
Yeah.
This is pretty good.
Right.
That number is
I have my number. It's low. I know what that number is. I know.
That number is so low to me too, right?
Yes.
And you know, people would be like, oh, but then you get there. No, I live off of what I make now. It's not a lot of money. And I live just fine. Like I'm very happy.
Yeah.
I never bend my morals for capitalistic gain. I'm very happy with that. And I live fine. Right. And yeah, I want to make a little more, but I'm never going to bend morals to get there. And so like, that's usually where my joke stems from. It's always like, how much more do you need where you're like, okay, we're going to like fucking PepsiCo owning 550 brands. How many more do y'all need? Stop ruining every good fucking brand. Like they just bought Siete. Is it Siete? Siete. Yes. They just bought Siete. I fucking love their stuff. Made with avocado oil, made with real food. And it's the food that you want to be made with real food because it's the shittiest food. Yeah. And just
it's like if you're going to get the shitty food, get the nice shitty food.
Exactly. Yeah. Right? That's always my one rule.
Yes.
I tell her all the time, like, ingredient improved. And you know, people really talk about the negatives of Robert F. Kennedy, whatever. I don't personally agree. I don't think anybody who looks like that at 70 years old should be condemned. You should be at least listened to. I'm not saying that he should be taken as gospel. But if you look like that at 70, us who are in the fitness world and who pride ourselves on how well we take care of ourselves, we understand how fucking difficult it's going to be to still look like that at 70. 100%. I don't give a fuck how much TRT I'm on. Yeah. I don't care about how much HGH I'm on. I don't give a fuck how many peptides I'm on. To look like that at 70, you get brownie points just like that. It's just like Andrew Huberman. The dude is jacked. He practices what he preaches. And if I follow what he says and I believe in some wacky shit, this is always my argument with Joe Rogan. I'm like, if I listen to him, and I take the advice of the people he brings on and the things he's learned from that, and I take that advice and I look like this at 50, and I look like him at 56. Oh no, I believe in some wacky shit, but I'm in incredible shape. Like it's so silly to me, right? Like it's just,
and I think it like comes back to, you're about to make your point. Go make your point.
What was I talking? What was the point?
Exactly. Here's my next, I think all those questions get wrapped up on like, I think we all feel that change needs to happen. And the question is like, who do you think is actually going to do it? And I think like we pay taxes and vote in elections because we want the government to do it. Like that's their actual job. And they do a shit job at it. And part of the reason you can like capitalism or not, it's a system we live in. I've set my chess pieces up to play. Like I'm using business as a tool to do something important in the world. I'm running a for-profit business for a reason. And it's to solve real problems in real systems that real people have. We're going to do well and do good as we do that. And I just don't have the patience or time to wait for someone else to fix something so I have permission to go do what I want to do.
So this goes back to the SNAP conversation that we didn't finish. That mindset right there is what I believe there are people who lack. They lack that mindset because you have accepted that no one's coming to save you. And in turn, you have accepted that you will no longer be a victim. And there are people who have accepted being a victim because it has become so glamorized. Being a victim now has been so, you've been propped up. You've been like, oh, we got to help these people because of this, this, and this. Oh, no, but what about those people because of this, this, and this? We got to get back to being Americans. No matter what political alley you fall on, watching the Minneapolis mayor run and the New York mayor run should make you very angry. The Minneapolis one in particular, the dude is flying a Somali flag in front of the American flag. In other countries, you'd just be beheaded. It would just be, you just wouldn't exist. Sorry. Like, they wouldn't allow that. You're not going to China and flying a Somali flag. They would just kill you. You're not doing that in other countries. You're not doing that in South Korea. You're not doing that. I mean, you can get away with that in the UK. You can get away with that in Western Europe because Western civilizations have been just constantly told that we're the bad guys. And yes, we have done not great shit, but we've also done a lot of great shit on top of that. And we have got to get back to this sense of like, A, we're all Americans. We're Americans first. We look after for each other, for the people who are here, and we need to do that first.
And I think we get so caught up on like what the right way, air quotes, right way to do or live. Like,
I think it's so simple.
Like I'm from the Midwest. We have a very straightforward cultural value of mind your own business.
And treat everybody as an individual.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck where you're from, where you've been, what you've done. Are you a good person? Do I enjoy you? Are you going to stab me in my sleep? Are you going to rob me? Like, I talk about this all the time. Like, nobody knows their neighbors anymore. You don't need to be their friend. If they have a Trump flag over there and you don't like Trump, it doesn't fucking matter. Just go and have a conversation with them. Are they going to murder me? Are they going to rob my place if I'm not there? Can I trust them to come get a package for me if I need it? Can they come feed the dog? That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
You don't need to know their political beliefs. I think the fucking flags and the shit in your front yard is stupid anyways. It was always a funny joke. Ari Maddie. Do you watch Kill Tony at all? Or
I got roasted Kill Tony style last week at a startup pitch.
No shit.
Yes. Yes. They made me go last because my business was the most interesting.
Yeah. We have to talk about your business. We've been on tangents this entire time. I'm going to finish this last bit.
I know how to wrap them all up into.
I know, dude. I'm a tangent whore. Ari Maddie had this hilarious bit where he's talking about people putting Kamala flags in their yard and then putting Trump flags in their yard. And it's like, why would you put a Kamala flag in your yard? Now I just know who to go rob, who doesn't have any guns. It's a funny bit. And it's just like, it's all so silly anyways. Like, being that much on a team is crazy to me. Like,
yes,
it's fucking wild, but nonetheless, this is true, but fuck the Cowboys. I've fallen off that bag, man. Jerry Jones ran that team for profit and not for winning, and I can't get behind it.
Who's Jerry Jones?
The owner of the Cowboys. Yeah. To
your point of it's like
he only cares about making money. It's the most profitable.
A sports ball man.
Yeah. Yes. The Cowboys are the most the richest franchise in the world of all sports. They're worth the most. And so he's done a great job at making money. Yeah, but he's done a shit job at actually playing football, like actually running a football team. And it goes back. It is literally, it's a metaphor for the U.S. government, for the fucking system.
We should lower the expectations in general of what it means to do enough. Like, I think, I don't know if I like the way I said that, but here's what I mean. Like, kind of a similar example is like, when I talk to my girlfriends who are single and they're looking for like, I want someone who's like X, Y, Z, A, B, C. And it's all these like very, very specific things that you want about a person that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And as someone who's been married for almost 15 years.
But Jessi, I just know what I want.
And I have a hell of a lot of respect for that. But like, I don't know, go on a date and have a good conversation. And like, that might be fun too. And like, you know, similar in the dating world, like I'm wanting this Prince Charming to come and save me. And it's like, maybe the guy over there, like, yeah, maybe he's got like a weird hobby or whatever. Like everyone's weird. Everyone is weird.
If they're not weird, you should be weird.
Yes.
Did out.
Yes.
By them not being weird.
Yes. Yes.
Because that means they're not themselves.
Yes.
They're putting on a show because all of us have a fucking quirk or something weird about us. And if they're not weird, you should immediately be questioning because they're probably a psychopath.
And I think about that with my neighbors. Like, I don't need my neighbor to, I know my neighbors don't have the same political beliefs as me. I know my neighbors don't have the same religious beliefs as me. I know that they're at different life stages and we all make money in all kinds of different ways. We are all getting up early and working hard, though. Everyone on my block, I'll tell you that. But the sort of dictation around like life and lifestyle, like there are many ways to be a human. And I think we need grace for all those ways of being human. But in that, you know, we get caught up in like who's going to come save us or how we want them to come save us or who's responsible for it. And, you know, if you really want that to come to pass, if you want Prince Charming to come save you, if you want the government to come save you, if you want your employer to come save you, a la salaries and benefits or whatever they get for your time, like you got to participate in that a little bit. If you want to be an entrepreneur because you want to get out of a lot of those systems, you got to participate in that. And you're going to lose why you want to do that if you haven't figured out what you want and why you want it in the first place, instead of just being told what the answer is.
Yeah. Yeah. People love to be told what to do, what to think. And it's weird for me. As someone who's never fit into a box, I've never had like, oh, this is just the group I hang out with. I've always hung out with the jocks because I played sports, but then I hung out with the kids that played Yu-Gi-Oh because I thought they were cooler usually. I thought they were just more interesting. They were more themselves. They were less fake. They were more authentic. I was always drawn to that. And then I would hang out with everybody in between. And so I guess it's just really hard for me to understand what is going on because it just seems so fucking obvious. It just seems so obvious. The playbook is so apparent that we are living in the greatest psyop of all time. And it just seems so obvious. And I don't understand how it's not obvious. And so I guess that's where my frustration comes from because I'm like, are y'all just is everyone just retarded or am I just completely crazy? Because I'm like, this playbook has been written down time and time again. We were told in 1984 that Russia was going to slowly start to deteriorate us from the inside, starting with our universities. People forget that the Communist Party was one of the biggest parties in universities for the longest time. And then people are suddenly shocked that universities are a breeding ground for socialistic ideas or whatever it is. And it's like, this is pretty obvious. Like we knew this. That's just how it was. It's been like that for so long. Like, why are you so shocked? Or why are you so reluctant to believe that also happens?
Yeah. And I think like fundamentally, Downland is solving a really particular problem in that like major change is coming from all sorts of directions. And we're sitting at this generational transfer of farmland, this generational transition in our food system. And there is an instruction manual is not the only thing you need. Software is not the only thing you need. And we're also like in a really specific lane that says, hey, there's opportunities that are going to come available and you can take steps to put yourself in a position that if you want to be that landowner, if you want to be that farmer, if you want to be closer to nature, if you want to be part of that solution, these are some of the practical steps you can take to do that. And we can lay that out for you and you still won't do it. But the purpose is to make that easier, remove like that ability as an excuse, remove ability as an excuse, and make action the reason, make the desire the reason, make your why the reason that you take action. And I think there's lots of people who need to be doing all sorts of that kind of work to help people become entrepreneurs in this reshuffling of society that AI will bring about. And I didn't even get on a soapbox about energy yet. Maybe we can do that later.
Dude, we can talk about how fucked these stupid windmills are. That was a reverb.
Yeah. But fundamentally, like, we're at this really precarious moment socially, like we've been talking about. Financially, the S&P 500 is being propped up by 7 companies who've grown more than 200% over the last 2 years. Mm-hmm. And our GDP is tied to population plus productivity. We're in a moment where sort of population growth a la immigration is a valve that we've turned off on that population growth, or really diminished. And population growth with people is a way longer game. And then we have this productivity metric that requires a barrel of oil at the bottom of it. It's got this fixed cost of like $40 to $60 of energy expenditure to like run the economy. And so that fixed cost like needs to come down if you want GDP growth. And then there's a whole separate debate of like, is GDP even a useful or helpful metric in terms of economic growth? Maybe. It doesn't tell us a lot about like human flourishing. It doesn't tell us a lot about the health and quality of life that we're creating for people. But all of that to say, there are many lanes that need to be created to give people a path on the other side of this turmoil and figure out where their place is. And I see Downland's role as, if you want your place in that to be closer to nature, to be stewarding land, to be outdoors, if you want it to be involved in feeding your community, in bringing forth food as medicine, as a real solution, then let's come talk. Yeah. That's where we can come together. And I think I'll say one more thing about that food as medicine piece. You know, I see a lot of excellent, thoughtful, passionate, smart people doing work in that space. Folks like Carter Williams, Aaron Martin, Ellen Brown. Those folks are working to try and understand, we've put all this money in the systems we have today. We have all this money that gets funneled into like insurance and healthcare. And we don't really like that. We don't think it's a good system. We know that food interventions really do work. They don't solve everything. They are not a silver bullet, but they do a lot.
Pretty damn close, a lot, man.
Yeah. Like, we're missing the mark so hard on food that like we've got to right that ship.
Yeah. Which we are, I think.
Yeah. And part of how we do it, though, is there's not going to be, or it's really hard to get big sea change system stuff to happen. And so we need to unlock funds in the mechanisms we have today. Should doctors have to prescribe someone a healthy diet for them, of fresh fruits and vegetables, for them to know they need to eat it? You know, if you live in a body and you've eaten fresh fruits and vegetables, and you know, the answer should be no. Like, that's the operating manual for the body. It's like, feed it good shit.
Yeah.
But in the system we live in now, you can't get those tax preferred insurance funds unlocked unless a doctor says so. And a doctor's not going to unlock it unless you do more studies to say that food interventions work. So we got to do that in the system we're at. We got to like fight and wave our fists and want big change. And we have to like play in the system that we have right now, or else we're just waiting for someone else to do the work.
Yeah. And I think that actually brought me back to my tangent of Robert F. Kennedy. The point I was making is that it's been easier to find ingredient approved food, like all types. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if this is just like
there's definitely a like labeling performative component to that, depending on what you're looking at. But I think MAHA has helped the government understand that people really care about these issues. And therefore, we have power in the voting block to say, hey, we care about this. Like, let's bring some attention to it. And then, hopefully the politicians who actually do something and show some action, they get our votes the next time around.
And it also seems like companies are responding positively as well. Like things that are that used to be tough to kind of find ingredient approved on that weren't filled with garbage, like barbecue sauce, bread, crackers.
Sauces are great examples of this.
Yeah, sauces are a big one, right? I think sauce is like the fucking biggest one. It's so hard to find a salad dressing that is not complete and utter dog shit.
Yes.
It is almost impossible. Yes. But lately, it has been easier. And I feel like I've had more options. Every time Taylor goes to the grocery store, she comes back with like a new find of something that's been ingredient approved that she's super excited about because she's like, man, I've been craving this, but I know that it's all filled with garbage. But then she found sourdough crackers that were actually sourdough at the grocery store. She's found like multiple different barbecue sauces, things like that. And I'm like, I don't know if it's just like obviously people swing to whoever's in power, right? So companies right now are swinging towards MAHA because that's the administration that's in power. And so they're trying to make them happy, appease them, they get funding, etc., whatever, right?
That is
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see if it continues, if someone else is to win in 2028, right? But at least at the moment, it's like if you want to eat real food right now, there is very little excuse not to because it's actually at the grocery store. Typically, I would have to go all the way out of my way to the farmer's market to find the things that I'm talking about. Good sauces, sourdough crackers, actual bread that's real bread. You have to go to the farmer's market typically, or you have to go to like a neighborhood baker or something like that, right? You'd have to know someone or know how to find it.
Yes.
Versus now, there's no excuse. It's in the grocery store. It's in the shelves. You just have to turn the bottle around and just take 10 seconds to read a few different bottles and just find one. But then you also have to know what you're looking for, be educated about it. But it's really fucking simple. If you can't pronounce what's on the label, just put it away and look for a different one. And just do that for a bunch of different ones. And eventually you'll find one that's like, okay, I know what 8 out of 9 of these are. All right, this is good. And for most people, that's going to be fine.
Yeah.
If you can start there, like I was talking about this with the personal trainer guy I was telling you about. I was like, look, whatever diet you want to follow, I'm sure most of them will work. Doesn't matter which one you follow, unless it's veganism.
If you're at a calorie deficit, you solve the problem.
Right, most of the time, right?
Yes.
And if you just get real food, you're gonna feel so much better.
Yes.
It doesn't really matter what it is. If you get real bread instead of Wonder Bread from the aisle, but you get real sourdough and it's just yeast, salt, and flour, you're probably gonna be just fine eating that sourdough.
Yes.
You probably eat a loaf a week. It doesn't matter. Yeah. You'll probably be just fine.
I eat a loaf of sourdough a week.
Yeah,
alone.
we do too. Yeah.
I think there's coming back to that, like when you're thinking about behavior change and how to individualize it, those factors of culture, convenience, consumability, like, are you going to eat it? Are you picky?
Yeah.
Picky eat. And then, cost is, what is your budget? I think picky eaters who have a small food budget are so hard to work with. And I think there's, to even on that convenience scale, like just having those skills of like to flip over a label and even really know what you're looking at. Like some people are just really starting from like, I should read, there's stuff back there. I should read it. And so like I think there's grace for like all of the places that people might start and be based on what they've been taught or know.
Yeah.
And I think I'm on this, and then a spectrum on that journey of food, right? Like I am someone who makes the effort to go to my farmer's market at least once a month.
Yeah.
And I would give that challenge to anybody. If you can spend 1/10 of your grocery budget at the farmer's market, a significant portion of that money stays in your community.
Yeah.
Even if you're going to a grocery store that has a corporate headquarters in your state, like those funds don't stay in your community. If you can spend them in your community, that makes an incredible, incredible difference. And there's a know your neighbor sort of aspect to it. Like I don't need my cabbage vendor to be any sort of way except good at growing cabbage. And there's community and like quirky, weird human experience and like bumping up against each other in life like that.
Yeah.
And I've like made excellent friends and acquaintances and like talked to some weirdos at the farmer's market too. And it's like, you can also bitch on the internet about all these things. It's like, okay, where are you actually spending your money though?
Yeah.
And
are you actually doing what you're bitching about?
Yes.
Or doing the opposite of what you're bitching about?
Yes.
Most people fucking aren't.
Yes.
They're just virtue signaling out into the ethos for likes.
Yes.
And I agree. I go to the farmer's market every Saturday. I have for the last 5 years, 6, 7, something like that. A portion. It's where my dog's food comes from.
Yeah.
It's where I get most of my veggies.
Yeah. I will say too, actually the original form of SNAP that began earlier in the 20th century was originally meant to fund farmers. And you actually could just use physical stamps to give them to farmers to get food. And we moved away from those stamps to like the debit card system because of the social sort of pressure that people would feel when they'd be in the grocery store and get embarrassed about what they were buying. And there's the programs. SNAP is the only subsidy for small scale farmers because they get paid. When you use SNAP at the farmer's market, you get double the money. It's called double up bucks. The program's structured in such a way that if a state doesn't use all their double up bucks that year, their budget gets cut by that amount. And so there are all these farmers market managers out there hustling to try and make sure people are educated about this program, that farmers know how to get the reimbursement on those programs. And, that's another example of like, we have done a poor job of creating incentives or safety nets for small farmers who are the ones that hold up local food systems. And now we've taken the only program they kind of have, and it's in the conversation right now. Like we're nowhere close to passing a new farm bill. Like SNAP's not actually going to change, in my opinion, because no one's talking about or really working on a new farm bill in any meaningful way. We haven't had one since 2018. We desperately need one. And we need one that doesn't just prioritize the needs of large-scale commodity markets. We need one that prioritizes small and local producers as well. But in the absence of all that, we do depend on, we depend on local people being like, I'm going to do my part. I'm going to get from behind the screen and I'm going to go and spend my money with someone in my community. And I might not even know how to cook this weird seasonal vegetable that I've never seen before. Like, that's part of the fun.
But have some fun with it. Yeah,
having
exactly.
that beginner's mindset of like,
learn a new skill.
What is a patty pan squash? I didn't know until it came in my CSA box and I had to figure out how to cook one with the handwritten instructions that the farmer, we had back in Ohio, we were part of a community shared agriculture program. and got this huge
Oh, is that what
box.
CSA stands for?
Yes, CSA stands for Community Shared Agriculture. And I'm basically buying a share of the farm produce for that week. And it comes in a box and I get whatever grew. So I share the rewards of plenty and the risks of weather events. I remember our farmer's market, our farmer that year, there was a polar vortex. They lost their blueberry crop. They were an Amish family, so they would write a lot of handwritten notes. They had another group that helped with their deliveries based on their own kind of beliefs on what they wanted to do with technology and things. And so we would get a lot of handwritten notes from them about what was happening, or they would like handwrite it in someone else would photocopy it so they didn't have to do like hundreds of them. About like, hey, we baked this thing to put in your basket because we couldn't get you blueberries. Like, that's who I want to get my food from. So there's a lot of adventure and community and like fun and learning in participating in that you are like absolutely going to screw up and like get something you don't know how to cook. But, you know, you might also discover you love patty pan squash.
Yeah. And that's the fun in it. That is learning a new skill. That's what drives us as humans.
Mm-hmm. Beginner's mindset.
Yes. Like you should have that for forever. Mm-hmm. It's something we talk about all the time. It's so sad to see people who just given up at 30 or 40. Yes. Oh, I'm 40 now. Or the one thing that drives me in fitness and the reason why I will forever be in shape is once you get my age, you're not going to be able to do all that. And again, that's the reason why and that's probably why I'm so prone to Joe Rogan, Robert F. Kennedy, Andrew Huberman, Peter Attia, these guys who are in their mid-50s or upper 40s or 70s, and they look phenomenal. Mm-hmm. I think that's why I'm so drawn to that anyways, because growing up, all you hear is like, once you get my age, once you get my age, mm-hmm. once you get my age, just from a bunch of people who just given up. Mm-hmm. And they just stopped. Mm-hmm. Of course, if you just stop, of course, restarting at 40, restarting at 50 is going to fucking suck. Mm-hmm. But the message that's being passed down should be, don't stop. Mm-hmm. It shouldn't be, once you get my age, or, wow, you train a lot. Once you get my age, you won't be able to do all that.
Yes.
Fuck that, dude.
Yes.
Fuck that.
Yes.
The message should be, fucking keep going and never stop.
Yes.
Never stop. Even if you get injured, taking time off should be PT. It should be foam rolling. It should be resistance bands. It should be some kind of walking.
Walking is huge.
Should be still some kind of movement. It shouldn't be this norm where you just take, let's just not do anything for a month because I'm hurt. Yes. No, fuck that. Do something else around that.
Yes.
Right? You said a few different things that should remind everybody that we still do live in the greatest country. One was when you have a picky eater on a budget. The fact that you can be picky and on a budget should remind you where the fuck you live. Mm-hmm. Secondly, you were talking about how you have the choice to do this. You have a choice to go corporate. You have a choice to be an entrepreneur. You have a choice. You can make those choices. Mm-hmm. Then you have to just do what it takes, whichever choice you make.
Yes.
Choice. Fucking America, right there. Choice. Mm-hmm. And the fact that people are so willing to give up choice is wild. No matter, we can sit here and bitch about the system all we want. Mm-hmm. But the fact that we have the choice to go to the farmer's market. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have to pay a little extra. Yeah, we might have to go out of our way a little bit. Maybe it's not as close as the supermarket. Maybe it's not as convenient. But we have the choice to go do that. Mm-hmm. I don't have to buy from Amazon. Mm-hmm. I don't have to. I might have to wait 2 weeks for something, but I don't have to buy from them, right? That should remind us all. And the fact that you can get on social media and say, fuck Donald Trump, and zero repercussions come from that. Mm-hmm. Those things alone should remind you where the fuck you live and why we should be America first no matter what. And it should be protected. The values of America should be protected no matter what. Even if we disagree on how we get there, the values themselves should be protected no matter what. And it is a fucking important reminder. Because once you give those things up, if we give up choice, if we give up options, if we give all that up, we're fucked. And you will not like the life after that. You will not like what's on the other side. There's a reason why people risk their lives to come here. They go through extreme measures. Francis Ngannou, world champion UFC fighter, crossed the Sahara Desert 7 times to make it to Western Europe. He was caught 6 of those times and dropped in the middle of the Sahara Desert.
That's wild.
So he's from Cameroon. He was a sand miner. Freak of it.
That sounds like a made-up occupation from Dune.
It's crazy, right? We forget cobalt mines, sand mines, coal mines, all these things, dude. People forget about these things. They love bitching on their phone, but they don't realize that literally there's a slave that's where that process started, is with a cobalt mine. For one, that's what makes virtue signaling silly, and it's beyond what you're virtue signaling about. The fact that you're doing it on a cell phone that is made from somebody in the Congo who probably has their baby strapped to their chest and the mine probably collapsed 2 weeks ago and their friend just died. The fact that you're on social media virtue signaling from that machine is already ironic. And you should feel silly right then. But I digress. The fact, he was in a sand mine. That's what he did growing up. And he wanted to go to France and make a better life for himself. So he crossed the Sahara Desert and made it and was caught in Morocco 6 times. Sent back. And he did it 7 times and finally made it. If you're not willing to do that, you need to accept what the fuck we have here, and not accept, but you need to realize what we have here at its foundation.
And participate in the change you want to happen.
Yes, because if you're not willing to do that, that's what's on the other fucking end. If it goes south, if it goes North Korea, if it goes even China, you could argue, is probably not even a full dictatorship, but it's still mass control. I think we're probably closer to a China than we would ever be a North Korea. But but the point is, if you're not willing to go through those kinds of extremes, even if you're not willing to go from Mexico to the U.S., you need to shut the fuck up and be grateful first and foremost, and then realize, what do I have in my own control that I can do to make an impact in what I'm upset about?
Yeah. One of the very simple ways that I've done that is just, one of my highest values is loving my neighbor. And that takes a lot of different forms, depending on the kind of person you are, right? I'm an extrovert. And so one of the ways that I care about my neighbors is I work polling locations. I've been an election official in 3 different states. I've been an election official in 3 different states for, I've lost count, maybe a dozen elections. And since I'm an independent, sometimes a lot of processes are done in pairs of a Democrat and Republican doing, counting this thing or tallying this thing. And depending on if they needed a Democrat or Republican person to show up, I could be kind of
a flex pick.
Yeah, flex. I was utility.
A flex pick.
Yeah, utility player. That was
they call it in fantasy football. It's the flex.
The flex. Okay. I was the owner of a fantasy football team, but my husband was the manager. So
that's valid.
Yeah. So that's the extent of my understanding of that sport. Esport.
The game of a sport.
The game, yes. The internet game of a real sport. And what was I saying? Oh yeah. So that's been a really simple way that I've gotten involved in these very boring processes that are very easy to execute. And there's an election going on right now here in Texas. I don't know when this is going to come out, but it'll
be a few weeks, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So, you have an opportunity when you step to the polling station to be like, I'm not going to participate at all, or I'm going to take in this information. And a lot of times you're voting for the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
But it's your right to. And if you don't vote, someone else is going to.
Yeah.
And you can especially right now, like, you can read that legislation. There's a whole lot of bullshit that people are trying to get away with at the state level, and like power they're trying to give or take from people in positions. And like, it's like the bar for making change is maybe lower than people think. The bar for starting is lower than people think. And it comes back to this theme of fear that we talked about is, are you scared because you don't know? Are you scared because you're going to get punished, but not really? But like, you're not really going to get punished. You have this perception of punishment, maybe. Are you scared of being a beginner? Does it seem too hard? Those are steps that you can actually do something about.
Yeah. If you're upset about the healthcare system, fucking take care of yourself. Yeah. Don't partake.
Yes.
If you're upset about insurance, take care of yourself. If you're upset about the food system, go to the farmer's market. There has to be self-accountability. We got to get back to being accountable as a person. Mm-hmm. And that's one of my other big gripes. Like, fundamentally, I'm pretty liberal. Mm-hmm. Fundamentally, like, I believe that there should be catch systems where people fall and we should help them get back up. Mm-hmm. I believe in the middle class. I believe in equal opportunity. I do not believe in equality of outcome, but I believe in equality of opportunities. Mm-hmm. And my biggest gripe with the left is just like, or one of the other big ones is just, I fucking forgot what I was just saying, dude.
Lion's mane, pop it again.
Boy, I know. Another one. What was it? We were
a self-accountability.
Oh yeah. Like, there just is none. Mm-hmm. There is no accountability. Zero self-accountability. I'm 400 pounds. I'm mad at the healthcare system because I got screwed over. Okay. There's two problems here. First problem is we allowed ourselves to get to that point. We also need to have self-accountability to realize I am the problem. I allowed myself to get this far. Mm-hmm. And yes, the healthcare system sucks on top of it.
Yes.
But it starts with you. Yes. And if you cannot be accountable first and foremost, then back to the theme of this entire podcast, ain't no one coming to save you.
Yes.
You have to look yourself in the mirror and be honest. Stop surrounding yourself with yes men. And fucking be like, no, fuck that. I'm not going to do this no more.
Yes.
I'm not doing it no more.
Yes.
I'm not going to be overweight no more. I'm not going to eat Doritos for dinner no more. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to eat Uber Eats 8 times a week. I'm not going to do it no more.
Yes.
Just don't do it no more.
There's an aspect of, I'm a technology startup founder. I'm a female technology startup founder. The run rate on venture capital that gets invested in female-founded companies is less than 2%. And it's actually on the decline. It was like less than 1% last year, I believe. Less than 1% in 2024. And so many times, I can very easily tell that an investor, a prospective investor that I'm talking with, is not someone I want to work with. When they're giving me this vibe, or sometimes even explicitly saying like, well, good luck on your nonprofit, little girl. I was like, that's not what we're doing here. I have a career. I have 15 years of experience. I've been on executive teams. I've got number 10 in financial services on the Inc. 5000. I am solving this problem. And there's a lot of bravado in that. There's a lot of things I don't know about how to do that process, which is why I have a kick-ass advisory team. And I have a lot of mentors and people in my network who are part of my professional support system. And there's a degree of starting your own business that's like part of the reason I started my own business is like I was unemployable in the regular system because if there's a problem, I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to solve it. I was willing to work to solve the problem, but like bringing up the problem in the first place can make you a pariah in a lot of places. And that's like
so ass backwards.
Yes. And it's
so
like
ass backwards.
You know, but I've accepted that I want to be the person that I am. And the people who want to be around that they're attracted to it. Like, I'm not on an island. I have a wonderful support system. I have an awesome professional network. I know some like really incredible business people. I have some awesome mentors. And like, I'm well supported. I'm not alone. I do not feel like I'm on an island, but the chip is squarely on the shoulder. And that's kind of part of life. Like, you're going to be like, that's part of life. Like, it's not going to be easy for you. And you don't have to do it alone either. That's the other piece of this conversation is like, there's a level of self-accountability and there's tools and people who want to help you. The self-accountability dies in a scarcity mindset. If you can bring a perspective of abundance and support, which also means looking like a quote unquote idiot, asking quote unquote stupid questions, like if you can get your ego out of the way of all of that, people by and large want to help you. Like people, they won't hand it to you on a silver platter, but they'll like write an email.
But you do have to ask.
Yes.
Especially people who are fucking busy.
Yeah.
And I think that's where ultra conservative, where people become more ultra conservative, especially in today's world, where there is just an abundance of information. There is zero excuses. Like there really is an excuse. Like you can just hop on ChatGPT, Perplexity. You got Google on your fingertips. You have a supercomputer in your hands. Everybody has one at this point. There's almost no one that does not have a smartphone to some degree. And I think that's where that starts to kind of manifest and people start to get a little frustrated and a little annoyed with people because it's just like, what the fuck are you doing? You have an infinite amount of resources. Get off your ass. No one's coming to grab you and take you to the resources. But if you come to me and ask, I can then help you.
Yeah.
But if you don't ask, most people aren't going to go out of their way, nor are most people going to assume that you need help because you didn't ask.
Yeah.
And so if you're not asking, the hand, what is the saying? It's like, anyways, but if you're not asking, you're not doing those things, then you're not helping yourself.
One of the hands worth two of the bush is what I wanted to say, but I don't know if it actually
I think it was
made
more
sense with what you were saying.
I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking like something like, it's not don't bite the hand that feeds. It's, but the hand, or you can, I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
But,
shout out in the comments.
Yeah.
Is that how you podcast?
Someone help me. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Hey, chat. No, but I can see that is where those begin to manifest. That's why people get to where they are, because there's people like yourself who are grinding. And then if you see someone who's not grinding and they're bitching and they're the woe is me, you can then begin to see where ultra conservative values come, or like ultra conservative thought points come from. Cause they're just like, someone like yourself is looking at this other person going like, what the fuck are you doing? You're not doing anything to help yourself in an infinite room of resources, right? And so I can see how that starts to manifest, right?
I think I love the way you put that point, because it's the resources aren't just like time and money, which are the first two and very real barriers.
Yeah.
But there's also information and people. And people who you trust, who know you, it can be a mirror and help you contextualize noise. Those people, the right people, like there are a lot of people, you know, you might have toxic, naysaying kind of people in your life, but you can go find, meet, volunteer with, join a team with, work with people who think differently, and in knowing and seeing you, help you contextualize all that information that can be overwhelming and be like, all right, here's like, I'll be your cheerleader and give you a little tough love because I'm a real person who knows you. And therefore, A, B, or C.
Yeah.
And the resources that support you, like time and money are resources that limit you. Go find some resources that support you. People, information.
Yeah. And it starts with being the version of yourself that wants to be supported or that somebody wants to support, right? You didn't start off with knowing all these business connections. You grew into a person that people wanted to connect with. And now you have good connections.
Yes.
You're around a bunch of naysayers probably because you sit around and talk shit about other people. So then you surround yourself with people who talk shit because they feel comfortable with you talking shit to talk shit. But if you surround yourself with a bunch of people who support each other, it's probably because you started supporting your friends. And now you're finding other people who support you and your friends. And now you're finding those people, right? Like, if I didn't share as much of my friends' stuff as I did on Instagram, I don't believe that I would necessarily have as many people in my life that are equally as supportive on the flip side. People support me because they know that I also support people that are doing cool things. That's the whole point of this podcast, is bringing people on who are doing dope things and allowing them to talk about it. Even though we've done a very poor job talking about your business, and we're going to have to run this back. But you said you could connect this all because we've been on 1,002 tangents. Yeah. Connect it all.
Yeah. I mean,
the pressure.
Yeah. The one-liner, the classic startup trope is explain your business in one line, the elevator pitch. And founders get all this advice of like how to do that correctly, what to say, what's the right thing. How do you speak dumb investor? There's a lot of like memes in the founder space of like investors are stupid, so talk to them like they're kindergartners. You know, all these things you try and do. And if I were going to put that one-liner here, it's Downland helps farmers and landowners pass down their land to the next generation. But why that actually matters is all the things that we've talked about. Is we have a food system in crisis. We have nature that is in crisis, and people are the planet. We are so much more connected to the earth than we remember that we are. And I think the more you start to learn about how your body works and how the sun affects your sleep and how sleep affects your wellness, how the soil creates nutrients that you need in your food, when you start to really understand how the human body works and you remember that all the inputs into making it work well are things that come from the planet and ways and rhythms that the planet works around. Our seasons tell us to rest. Our seasons tell us to work and harvest. Our seasons tell us to wake up and go to sleep at night. When you pull the onion back, when you peel the layers back, you start to see that we are so much more a part of this earth than we really realized. And if you want to get closer to that, if you want to get closer to the land, if you want to participate in that change in a real and meaningful way, also understanding the system that we live in and the incentives that are in place, become a business owner. Like, become an entrepreneur, step into land ownership, land stewardship, closer to nature from one perspective or another, you're going to find that it's going to enrich your life more than you can believe. And all these things that we can bitch about matter a whole lot less when you just go outside and touch some grass.
It's true.
Did I make a good speech?
That's it right there.
Right.
That's beautiful. And
Thank
psychedelics help too. But
100%.
they help a lot.
Yes.
They remind you of all that.
Yes. The Surgeon General would like you to read about her mushroom trip in her book.
Yeah, dude. It's so, oh man, it's so true. I mean, that's a whole thing on its own, but it helps. It ties in exactly what you're talking about. Like, we are connected to nature. Mm-hmm. We have been for
and we
a
don't
million
have to
years.
we get frustrated with all this stuff that are still very real systems and barriers that hold us back. I mean, if we want them to change, we should take some action. And we can do a lot more to be less involved in the system. If we're mad at how it's working, go get healthy. If you're mad at how your boss is paying you, go be your own boss and start your own business.
1000%. Stop bitching. Take your life in your own hands. No one's coming to save you, and go do something with it. And it's do mushrooms, mind your business, drink your water, eat good food, and exercise.
Amen, brother.
It's really fucking simple.
Yeah.
It's really simple, man. And so that's it. We'll wrap it up there. Tell everybody where they can go and read about your company, find out about your company and yourself as well.
Yeah. When is this going to come out?
You'll be 3 Mondays from now.
Okay. So Downland is currently building our waitlist for aspiring farmers and beginning farmers who want access to land or what support taking a step. So whether you are someone who wants to make this your full-time career or needs a hobby farm or homestead, at some point you all need to take a lot of the same steps. So go to godownland.com, godownland.com, and join our waitlist.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome. And you want to shout out your own Instagram or? And
if you want to hear me virtue signal on the internet, if you want to hear loud, if you want to hear me talk a lot about our food systems, food health, I've been working on a tagline for this. Hold on. You can find me at Jessi Roesch, JESSI ROESCH. You can find me at Jessi Roesch, rhymes with fresh, on Instagram. Nope, that's not my tag. Okay.
Nope, that's not it.
Yep. You can find me at Jessi Roesch on Instagram, where I talk about farms, finance, fitness, food, and the future. That's
fucking dope. I think there's people, the amount of people that listen to this is minute, but the people who do listen, I think they care about this as well. I mean, I think they do. The people who do listen care about what you're talking about. And I think what you're doing is fucking awesome. White Oak Pastures is a dope place. Have you been to Force of Nature out here in Fredericksburg?
Yes.
Rome Ranch. That's right. Yeah. Dude. Great.
Amazing.
Great place. Yeah. Support your
places, man. I'm going to text Will Harris after we finish this podcast. We should send him a selfie.
Yeah.
Let's send him a selfie.
Yeah, we're going to take a picture in front of the logo as we always do. But yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan. I think what you're doing is very important. I think the food system is tied to so many issues. If people are healthy, then you don't have to worry about insurance. Then you don't have to worry about the fucking healthcare system. Then you limit so much of your stressors. You limit so much daily stress. You just feel better because you're going to be in better shape. You're going to feel better about yourself because you look better. There's so many anyways, we can go back on for another 3 hours, but I'm pretty sure we already did 3 hours. Yes. So, I think what you're doing is awesome.
Thank you.
Congratulations on getting everything started. That's the hardest part. Mm-hmm. Now it's just a fun time.
Yeah. I have a lead investor. Everything's easy after this.
Boom.
That's what they say in the startup tropes.
You made it. I mean, think about, like you just said, only 2% even get that far.
Yeah.
And now look where you are.
Yes.
And that's fucking dope. We're going to do this again so we can actually talk about the company next time. And not 1,000,002 tangents. That's my fault. I had a lot on my mind around all of this, and I knew we were going to talk about it. So,
yes.
Anyways, thank you so much.
Thanks,
I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time. Fuck yeah.
That was so fun.